Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Presents, the Saturday Overnight Live Edition. After feeling a little bit better last night, it feels like I had a relapse. I've been feeling like shit all day. Oh, hopefully you guys have had a better, physically better day than I have. That being said, I don't know where Brad's at. I sent him, he knows we're going live, but it's going to be probably a shorter than usual show, simple because the sooner I get out of here, the sooner I get out of the cold, back into the house, sleep, doing all that stuff, and get ready to go through this all tomorrow. But before we get going, as you saw on the screen, we are just over halfway home. The link is pinned for our charity that is culminating. It's going to read a major benchmark. The charity itself will continue to go on infinitely, but we want to try to establish our $5,000 goal on or before December 22nd, which was the day that, even though Rebel Moon now will be getting released earlier, it's the day that we're going to have our online watch party with the center, and inside we're going to have our watch party here as well for people, a handful of people who are really into this movie and really want to see it, and we'll be interacting with the crowd. So if you can donate, if you cannot donate, and all it takes is a couple seconds to share that link and get it in the laps and hands of somebody who can. Sharing is caring. Sharing helps. Sharing gets the word out. So, all right. Let me go ahead and say hi to some of our chat. Let's see. I may. It depends on how I feel headed towards the end of the show. If I feel like crap, no, I want to, because I usually want to do that on a normal basis. But depends on if the coughing and all that returns. If not, we'll get it going. We'll either tonight or tomorrow night, but more than likely tonight. Depends on how the show goes. William, did you watch it? No, I just tend not to watch NXT. I would I've heard it's better now, but it's still NXT. I just I'll watch the people on NXT when they make it onto the main roster. I watch so much wrestling now, and I watch the WWE shows, but I just don't have time for that one. I know somebody told me CM Punk showed up there at the headquarters or something like that. So. I personally thought Deadline was way better than Survivor Series. Well, Survivor Series was solid, but like I said, none of the main vibes that used to be great are that great. So I could see it getting better, but I just haven't had time to watch it, fit it into the day. How you doing, Vince? Got T-Mobile home internet all set up pretty fast. Good, because I'm going to need your help on these watch parties, man. How you doing, Spider-Man? Chappie, what's going on? Clinton with his duck. Hey, what's up, SoCal guy, Mr. 300? Oof, man. That's not a normal feeling, whatever the hell that is. What's going on, Daniel Martin? Let's see. How you doing, RJ? All right, Chappie. First question. William and Brad. Brad's not here yet. William, Brad, I want to see the director's cut assembly of Aeon Flux movie. You mean the one with Charlize Theron? Because while it's a mixed bag, there was a better film inside somewhere that got screwed. I don't think that movie was bad. I think that movie had a really hard challenge. Remember what its source material was? An absolutely bonkers cartoon. I mean, you watch Liquid Television. That was one of the very first things that Liquid Television did. The Unflux. I cannot believe that they even did what they were able to do with that movie. So and when you compare it to the source material, it's amazing. That movie. I mean, you shouldn't have been able to make a movie like that, because that movie was like. I mean, for those of you who don't you know what he's talking about. Amflux was MTV Liquid Television was one of the first things that they aired on there. It was like the secret agent. She would die at every mission. She would complete her mission. She would be killed. But she had all this. It was a weird animation for him, and it had a whole bunch of just crazy type of scenes and movements and everything. And she would die at the end of each one. It was hilarious, but it was really popular. And like I said, Charlize Theron made a movie out of it that I didn't think was bad, considering the fact that was really hard to make a movie out of. I don't know if a director's cut will make that movie even better. I mean, What's going on? Rational Skeptic, how you doing? William and Pigeon, opinion on Sasha Kaye not staying in Super. I never thought she was going to. I never thought because, and to be honest with you, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for my Snyder bots or bros from this, but the story that he's telling doesn't fit the type of Supergirl that was in that movie. The mental and even if Sasha Kaye could play that, and she's an actress, I'm assuming she could. You're basically changing the core personality of what that Supergirl was to something that it was never going to be. So I do think it's a tragic shame if we never get to see her play her version of Superman again or Supergirl again. But I completely understand why she's not going to be in World of Tomorrow. She just doesn't fit. She just doesn't fit that story, given how she was written in that, in the Flash. I would like to see her again, and I've already laid out the parameters in which I think that she could come back. But for this particular movie, it's not a surprise to me at all. I never thought James Gunn was gonna carry over. I still think there's a story to be told with Sasha Kaye's Supergirl. I just don't think it's gonna be James Gunn's Supergirl. How you doing, Brad?
Good, yeah. Still
Act
recovered from all this, but yeah, to go off what you're saying, I mean, I think I definitely would like to see her, with Henry Cavill Superman. I mean, there's a Superman to pair her with. It's him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not, and this Supergirl is not even going to be paired with the Superman. It's different tone. I like I said, I think it's best to be honest with you. And no, there's no. I saw a lot of people that were surprised about that. I'm like, once he announced he was doing World of Tomorrow or Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, I mean, that Sasha Kaye Supergirl, that's not this one. He needs to find an actress, not taking the look and throwing away. He needs to find an actress that fits the tone of this. If he's indeed going with this tone of this, and her Supergirl, and I've read this a bunch of times, her Supergirl that I saw in that movie doesn't fit this, and I don't think it would be cool to change her Supergirl for this. I would rather see that Supergirl, do her own thing. I really want to see it in the Kingdom Come where she's a replacement for Superman while Superman is fighting The Rock. And man, could you imagine that? The Rock and Superman fighting, Henry Cavill, and I mean, that's just the average person who's not involved in all this loves The Rock, and they love Cavill. I don't know. Hey, by the way, if you want to see our stream last night, you ain't gonna, because Brad. No, I was kidding. No, it wasn't Brad's fault. Well, technically it was, but we all greenlit it. I mean, I said do it, so it's like, and Netflix is a little bit too. And I guess we played a scene. So we usually play trailers, but I guess the scene was a little bit too much. That's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and I haven't had a chance to edit it because it's Saturday. I had other stuff to do, but I'm gonna go ahead and mute. They said all I had to do is mute that section, and I can go in the editor and mute that section, and I'll have it back up. Because to be honest with you, we actually had some pretty good conversations about DCU, stuff that I didn't think we were going to be able to have because, like I said, it's so far away. And like I said, it's really hard for me to care about the Gunverse at this moment. So I will go ahead and mute that and bring it back up again. So, but yeah, not a big deal. It wasn't a strike or anything. They just took down the stream until we made those adjustments.
Oh yeah, but
okie
another blame Brad situation though.
All right, but yeah, Sasha Kaye, I never thought she was going to be in that. And like I said, appropriately, that's the whole thing where my goodness, that's Brad's fault too. This is where I am for having alternate versions of characters, because every creator is going to have their own tone at some point in time. I'm not saying we need like 1,000 of them. But this is a perfect situation of I wouldn't want to shoehorn the world, the Woman of Tomorrow, into that Supergirl that we saw. It just wasn't appropriate. So didn't surprise me at all. I'm kind of happy that we're getting a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but at the same time, me being intrigued by anything coming forward doesn't mean that I don't want to see the other stuff. So, all right, let's see. No, that's how you doing, Anthony? Beltre. Am I going to go see the Iron Claw in theaters? Or wait, I think I'm going to go see the Iron Claw. I've been fighting with myself if I wanted to go see that, simple because not because I think it sucks or anything. I grew up with the Von Erich story, and at one point during my childhood, all those poor men were alive, and little by little they weren't. I met Carrie Von Erich and San Bernardino at the Orange Show, and yeah, he was gone 3 years later, I think. Friends with all the Von Erichs. I mean, and that was something that was really, as a wrestling fan and growing up in their era, we, wrestling fans experienced. We knew who Kerry Von Erich was. We knew French Von. We knew who all the Von Erichs were. That name, and in our childhood and in my era, that name was like like Kennedy's type of situation. They were a dynasty. I mean, it was almost like the Hearts. Think of what the Hearts are for a lot of people growing up later in the '90s. They were at that level. Just like Stu Hart, Fritz Brown, they trained. They had families, second, third generation wrestlers. So we grew up with that, and it was tragic to hear about that and suicides. So I mean, I think 3 of the 4 died of suicides, but the Terry Von Erich killing himself, that was a shocker to me because he was on top of the world, man. But they all had clinical issues that none of them knew how to deal with. And they had a macho persona because of the family that they came from. They never wanted to let that family name down. The holding up that family name was, you never wanted to be perceived as weak, especially from, being from Texas, being from the South, being a royal family and wrestling like that. You always wanted to hold that family, and that was a lot of pressure. So they had nowhere to go for the outlet. So we grew up watching that. They would interrupt. You didn't matter what wrestling company you were watching, they would do a 10-bell salute for those guys because that's how big they were. So I was wondering if I could sit through that, because that's almost as like if they make a movie of Owen Hart dying. I was literally watching No Way Out in May of 1999 when they turned the cameras away, when he died on air, when they came back on air. Jim Ross came back on air and let us know that Owen Hart had died. I'm watching that. So I don't know if I could watch, a Owen Hart movie where that's depicted. So it's going to be tough. But I think I probably will go see it because it looks like a bunch of quality performances from actors that I really like watching. So I think I will go see it. But yeah, it's going to be a tough watch for me. Iron Claw looks like a great movie. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, wow. Like I said, growing up in that era. When will the Doctor Who watch party discussion be? It was supposed to be today, but with the workload and the fact that I just wasn't feeling that well this afternoon, I'm thinking about doing it either Monday morning, which will be afternoon for the majority of our audience, or just getting everything done on Friday, or because I'm going to be here on Christmas Day getting some stuff done before I go out to the family and watch the NBA. I might just do like a straight up marathon of the last two the two that we did not watch. I got to decide right now. I just don't feel like, it's like I said, I'm not debilitated, but it's draining, plus taking shit that puts you to sleep and it's trying to work through that. It's like,
I feel that too.
I'll let you know, RJ.
How I've been dealing with my story. And by the way, I'm assuming that also kind of that answers also Monarch as well.
Yeah, Monarch was going to be the same thing. Plus, Vince now has his internet back, which is great because he can help. Like I said, I didn't blow it up, but it's a lot easier for me to do it with him around. I love the cat and mouse games between Flex and Trevor. Good job. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the cartoon was really good, and like I said, I never thought that they would be able to make a movie out of that, and they did. And like I said, for what it was, that movie was kind of cool. William, what happened was because they were filming it and finished it. Head Paramount got fired and left, so the new heads came in and didn't know what to do with it. They kept recutting it. I don't remember. I mean, I'm not disputing that, but I remember the movie I saw, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like I said, given what it was, like I said, you go watch Eon Flux. But that was back in the era where I didn't get into a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I don't think I had the internet then. When did Eon Flux come out?
That was like 05, I think.
Yeah, that was before, I had the internet, but I think I was new. You know what? I was deployed. And we watched that overseas. Yeah, we watched that. I watched that in a giant movie tent. Yep, 2005.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never delved into the behind the scenes stuff like that. These days we would have been on. No, Doctor Who. Why are you laughing? You laughing? Are you laughing because I was too busy and I was not feeling? Wow, what a shitty fucking person you are.
Yeah, fourth year. Yeah, fourth.
Well, the Doctor Who thing is mainly for me to just build the audience with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Most of the people are going to watch it. Like I said, most of the people that are watching, except for RJ, that are going to watch it with us on the watch along, that they're new to Doctor Who anyway. So it's not like they were waiting for me today. They'll watch it when we watch it, and the discussion can take place at any time. So, but course fourth 1000. Let's see, the Dark Knight. You stole my name, by the way, Dark Knight. I am the Dark Knight. I'll have to add the numbers to it. I have no problem with Supergirl being recast because that was a Monteverse thing, not a Snyderverse thing. Yeah, I know that was one of his goofy creations, but at the same time, once I saw it, I actually dug it. And if I was going to close the door in that universe, I would love to have her fighting Billy Batson. After he's been taken over by Mr. Mind. By the way, like I said, we got teased in 2 different Shazam movies and didn't get to see the kind of devastation that he could wrought, which I think is fucking stupid. But
yeah, well, like I said, it's like, I mean, as far as like putting a bow on the Snyderverse, I definitely would. A part of that would be I definitely want to see Henry Cavill Superman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl, on screen together.
Yeah, one time, I just as one last fight. It would not have been all right. I mean, that would have served the purpose. You wouldn't just be doing it to do it, but like I said, I'm not going to go too far into it. It's just incompletion is failure, and it becomes your resume. And no matter what you do after that, it's like I said, it's not the end of the world, but it makes it harder for you to start a new one. And like I said, you're not a intact company doing this. You're Warner Brothers right now, trying to figure out what the hell you're going to be. By the time this movie comes out, we could have rumors of somebody else buying Warner Brothers. And like I said, whoever buys Warner Brothers may be buying it for their own reasons. They may be buying it for certain IPs and certain libraries, and certain other things might not be a priority to them, which means you could lose. I mean, it's just, it could be a mess. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's probably Ultraviolet versus Ultraviolet versus AM Flux versus Equilibrium. I didn't get as much. I mean, I went to go see it because it was part of the whole Matrix craze that was going on, but
I really dug it because it had the whole thing with the gun kata. That was pretty cool, I thought.
I didn't know what the hell that was then. So I was like, what is this?
It was gun kata.
I just went and saw it because somebody said, hey.
They said, okay, we made a martial art out of gunfighting.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first thing I saw.
But back then,
go ahead.
Back then, Equilibrium was kind of hurt because it was seen as a Matrix knockoff, even though that wasn't fair.
Yeah. That was the first. I think it was the only thing I saw with Christian Bale. Pre-Batman, too. So,
William, what is your opinion on James Gunn confirms that they have already hired most of the writers, showrunners, and directors with DCU? Waller, Leonard, Booster Gold. When did they announce Booster Gold?
I think it was part of the initial slate announcement.
I don't recall being here. Are you just trying to fuck with me, Anthony? Because I can't stand Blue Beetle or Booster Gold, but okay. He had that all together pre-strike. He had all this together, long ago before the strike. So I truly believe I believe that he had all these people in place when he got the job, because I think that was part of his pitch. Now, announcing it was a different thing, obviously, because there were hurdles, with the strike. But I believe he had all these people already in place. He had an idea and plan, and I believe that those people were part of the pitch that he threw his ass off, and those people knew who they were going to be for the most part. So no, there's no shock to me that he had all that. I mean, he seems pretty thorough. What was that about? How to make up customers?
They can make actors look like anything they want. Well, I mean, yeah, that's
no. He's
their
talking
job.
about the Supergirl. That's not
Oh, okay.
that's not a good example because you could throw a wig on Sasha Kaye, but if you're going to change that much about her, it's not the look we're talking about. It's the tone of the character and how that character is written. And if Sasha Kaye doesn't fit the vision and the story that James Gunn's writing, there's no amount of makeup in the world that's going to make up for that. It's not a makeup issue. It's a tone issue, and it's an appropriate for a certain storyline issue. So no, that would be the last of the worries. If it was just a look thing, yeah. But that Supergirl was written for, that Supergirl was chosen for that story, and the Supergirl that's going for because like I said, even the Supergirl that he picks doesn't have to be a blonde. She can wear a wig. She wears extensions. She can be like the Khaleesi off of Game of Thrones, who is a brunette but wears a nice blonde wig that most people think is real. So no, you can make somebody look, but it's the actual sitting down, having the script reading, seeing if this person fits tonally what you're doing. So yeah, it's a little bit different than a makeup thing. Yeah, well, like I said, you were warned. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Long time no see.
What's up, Brian?
William, what is your opinion on James Gunn? Says the Authority movie has a writer for a long time. Rumored it's Jamie Slater. I'm not. I probably am familiar with his work, but not by name. And he probably had the Authority writer in place literally when he got the job as DC head.
I know
none of these things. Go ahead.
I know he was a little bit of trivia there on Jeremy Slater. He was kind of originally helping us shepherd along the movie that eventually became 2015's Fan Four Stick. So, he jumped ship on that, pretty early, before that ship at the iceberg. So, maybe, he might have a shot now at something that'll actually, that'll actually be good. So more power to him.
Yeah, and that was that movie. That movie is an outlier. I wouldn't expect anybody who worked on that movie. Everybody who worked on that movie went on to better things. It was just a bad premise, and a bad time. But that movie was about a couple of inches away. If you could have salvaged that movie, they just didn't want to. All right, but no, I mean, even still, he probably had this guy in place already. As far as an Authority movie, like I said, I got some comics on there. I don't know. I have to see where the Authority fits in. Like we were talking, when we get the stream back up. We were talking with Nicotina last night. It all depends on how the Authority fits into what they're doing. It will be whether I'm interested in them. Right now, just by name value alone, they're nothing to me. So I would have to see what the premise is. But an Authority movie is not even on my radar right now, as far as wonder who's going to be doing that movie. And not to dismiss your question, I'm struggling to care about Legacy, and that's a prime title. So B's and C's that are 2-3 years away, it's hard for me right now, and it's really hard for me to fake, interest in some of the stuff, All right, Daniel Martin, William and Brad, have you been to Walmart recently? No, I have not.
In fact, I'm glad he mentioned this because I just saw Daniel share this on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. This whole display of our Rebel Moon goodies in Walmart. I'm gonna check this out tomorrow because I've been to Walmart, but they didn't have it like 2 days ago when I went there last. So I'm gonna check this out tomorrow, see if they got it there now. I'm not going to play the soundtrack here because this is the Man of Steel, Ideal of Hope, and I don't want us to get pulled down again. But I'll go ahead and play it now. So this is all the Rebel Moon stuff he's talking about at Walmart right now. So yeah, they're rolling out the red carpet for it big time. As far as Netflix's marketing is concerned. Yeah, I want to get some of this so bad. I'm just wondering when they're going to start putting out Ray Fisher's laser cannon for this in the toy section, or in the they do like a paintball gun version of that.
Is that even something that they're going to be selling?
Ray Fisher's gun? I would think so. I mean, definitely, as far as like all the cosplay that's going to come out of this.
Well, those people are going to make their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this is everything I got at Walmart right now from Rebel Moon. When I was last at Walmart like 2 days ago, I didn't see any of this there at the time, but I'm gonna go check it out again tomorrow, see if they got it all set up, because I do want to check out all this merchandising. It does look pretty cool. So thank you very much for sharing from that, Daniel.
So yeah, no, I have not been to Walmart. Usually, like I said, by the time I get out here, Walmart closes at 11, which is another bullshit.
I know William's going to go on another rant there about stuff closing.
Yeah.
Times they're inopportune moments for it.
I don't know if you want to. I don't like the word rant. I like to say observations. To see a rant or a complaint is just you venting with no solution. I rarely speak without a solution. Period.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're closing at 11 for certain reasons, and those reasons are leading to the deterioration of your overall product, then eventually you need to change some things like that. I mean, you can only cut so many corners. They did the same thing with the self-checkouts. They wanted to cut corners, and they ended up doing a lot of self-checkout stuff. And now most of those are going away. All the money you blew into putting in those because you wanted to cut corners, you ended up, costing yourself more money and more credibility, because you went from a people business, which Sam Walton's always said. When I worked for Walmart here in Vegas, Sam Walton would actually come to Vegas, and talk to people, back when I was there. And it's a people business. He said, never forget. That's why he drove his old pickup truck around half the time. He didn't drive a limo. He had his own plane. His brother flew him around. I mean, it was if you start out as a people business, no matter how big you get, you start doing those. You start cutting the tethers to the people. Like self-checkout, like not customer service issues like that. You eventually will leave the door open for other things to happen. Target really should be out of business right now. They're way more expensive than Walmart, but they're a little bit better when it comes to stores are cleaner. Their hours for the most part are decent. And they basically crept in and became, what Walmart used to be in some cases. But no, I usually don't rant. And like I said, the other night when we Smith Fukushi, by the way, that situation has been resolved. I won't go into any details, but once again, the solution I had was what they implemented, what they ended up implementing. So no, so a rant or a complaint is just somebody blowing shit out of their ass. An observation is somebody bringing it up and along with the solution. So there you go. A little dictionary work for everybody here. So all right. Hey, Chappie, I don't know enough about the behind the scenes stuff of Aeon Flux. Am I phrasing a lot? You know what? I am going to go ahead and change.
Yeah, you were a bit there at the beginning, so
just hold on for a second.
All right. I'll go through the comments while you're fixing that.
Yeah, I'm going to fix this.
See the comment here that one. Yeah, okay. Is Blaine Brad new thanks Obama? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I used to live out in Fontana. How's it going, South Cali? Oh, then. Yeah, stupid sci-fi Wi-Fi.
All right, back. Very good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I just and the same thing when we talk about any the movie stuff, problem solution.
Well, here's a good one for you.
It's just problem.
Here's a good one for you right here. Thoughts on the trailer for The Long Way to Winnie the Pooh. Blood Honey 2 will arrive soon. We're here. You all work on the trailer. Please be patient.
Yeah, they're under. I mean, they went right from making that one. They really didn't have enough time to really, you know, have that first one settle in before they were making a new one. So yeah, I mean, and they're making a new one with a lot more money. I still am trying to get these guys on the show, but once again, I was promised an interview, but at the same time, nobody thought that Blue Blood and Honey was going to make the type of money it did. And when it did, they were able to turn around and, like you said, they had to start working on another one, and because they were working on Bambi too. So those guys are workaholics and they work a lot. But you know what? I guess that's the game. But yeah, be patient with those guys because they're literally, making something special, and they're literally making it from the grassroots. That's literally grassroots. That's they're trauma without being trauma. So, and that takes time. So, like I said, I've never. When we get the trailer, we get to. I didn't need a trailer for the original one, to be honest with you. So I'll be all right. Let's see. Used to live out in Fontana. Ooh, wow. Me too. And I'm sorry. That's enough I could say. Yeah, I lived right around the corner from Eisenhower. For those of you who know Rialto, you know exactly where that is. And Fontana and Foothill runs right through all of that, right into San Bernardino. Oof, man. Good old San Bernardino. It's like a meteorite hit it, and you go back there, it's like, oh my goodness. You start singing Billy Joel's song like Allentown or something when you go through. All right, let's see. William, I thought TJL West's Maxine is described as over the top gore and homage to Dario Argento and the guy. I haven't seen it. I didn't like X. I didn't like Pearl. So at once, they told me it's the third. It's the third of those. What's up?
Or maybe I did. Hold on. I think I might have over the summer because that was the one that had. Oh damn it! Like all these A24 horror movies, they just all blend together for me.
Yeah, I didn't see it, and I just didn't have any plans on seeing it. Because, like I said, I thought X and Pearl were both letdowns for me. So.
Oh yeah, I did see them. Yeah, X and I did see both those.
Yeah, the time Von Erichs were the Texas version of the Hearts, and World Class Championship Wrestling was a pretty big deal, and they were a big part of that. Them, Jerry the King Lawler, all that. If you don't necessarily know what World Class Championship, Texas World Class Championship Wrestling was, look up Jerry Lawler. You all know who the King is on. He was a Hall of Fame announcer at WWE. That's where he came from, and a lot of the Von Erichs came from that too. Let's see.
Oh,
for what it was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't, understand what they were trying to do. If you understand what they were trying to do, then you understand that it wasn't that bad. And plus, we're talking 20 years ago, too. We're not talking about by today's standards. For by 2000 standards, I didn't think it was bad at all. William thought on James Wan says his next movie will likely return to horror. I feel like the itch for horror would potentially call me, but we'll see. Well, that's his stock and trade, so yeah, no surprise there.
And Fourth has some comment here about the all the Rebel Moon merchandise I just showed. You steal it, Walmart. Let's see with the $400 of theft. Okay, yeah, I'll let somebody else, kind of take the fall for that one for me then. With that whole 5-finger discount policy.
Yeah, for stealing toys. You're gonna go to the big house for stealing toys. I don't know if that's.
when you were working at Walmart, did you ever catch anybody shoplifting?
Yeah. That didn't
stop. What was the biggest thing they were caught stealing?
They would be stealing stuff out of the pharmacy, and they would be in electronics. They would try to steal stuff out of electronics, but you know what? We had loss prevention, and I got out of the way. So, see you. Listen, dude. There's nothing in there's nothing in here, and I own everything in here. There's nothing in here worth dying for. If somebody comes in and wants to rob me, I'm going to walk right out the door. Shit's insured. Walmart is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Home Depot, all these are multi-billion-dollar. And I'm telling you guys, if you all work in retail right now, and somebody's stealing and they're running out of the door, you step right to the side. Unless it's your job as security or loss prevention to stop them, you step right to the side. There is nothing in those walls where you're getting hurt over. There's nothing in those walls where you're getting cut or even slightly injured over, let alone some of these people are fucking crazy.
Oh,
You know, they
were
may be, yeah, they may be
did they
stealing. Go ahead.
did they like put up a fight when they got caught?
Some of them did. Some of them pulled weapons.
Ooh,
You know,
man.
and you got to realize though, yeah, they're stealing a PlayStation. That might not be a big, master criminal thing that you think somebody would, wouldn't want to go down for. But you got to realize that person's a criminal. Period. In most cases, this is what he's doing to get his criminal day started. He needs that revenue to get to that other stuff. So, yeah, he may seem like a low level shoplifter to you, but he may, that's he's hitting. He's going to take that to a pawn shop or to somebody to flip that, and he's going to go, do the other things he wants. Maybe buy a gun, maybe buy drugs. So you're you're taking your little retail life and you're putting it in between that and that person. Don't do it. Don't do it. Step aside. I tell people who, if they're working for me, just, if you comply, if you can get away, but don't be fighting over. Nah, don't be. This isn't fucking This isn't, like I said, Dirty Harry. It's not the movies. Not the movies. There's nothing in retail worth dying for. I'm sorry. All right. So maybe I just subliminally ignored it because I just thought of that character. I probably just shut it out of my mind. They may have announced it. I probably just purposely subliminally ignored it. Because that's the last fucking thing I need in my life right now. Booster Gold. One of the absolute dumbest characters. Sorry, Keith Giffen, rest in peace, but he loved that character. I mean, it's like, oh, geez. Like I said, JLI or Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, they're like bookmarks. They're like, if you're reading to a point in the book, and if I were to give you a big book and I could tell you, hey, Brad, there's a shitty part of this book that you could just skip. It's not going to mean anything. In fact, it might fuck the book up for you. You might not want to finish the book. And I just put a bookmark in there for you and said, this is where, it's good up to this point. That's what Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and JLI characters and Ice and Fire and all these goofball characters that they had. Those characters were always the flair for me. William, it's time to stop collecting Justice League because it's about to get canceled or it's about to suck. Whenever I saw Guy Gardner in Justice League, that was when I put the book down.
Yeah.
I'm a Green Lantern fan through and through. There are two Green Lanterns that I cannot stand the fact that they exist. Nort, the fucking dog, and Guy
Gardner. Well, Guy Gardner, I mean, everybody. No, I mean, I don't know. I never met anybody who's like would list Guy Gardner as their favorite Green Lantern, and so
I just knew whenever I saw him, I was like, okay, we're not going to take this Green Lantern story seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes it will be them together. So I got an extra treat, Nort and Guy Gardner. I'm like, what? I paid 75 cents for this as a kid, and then it would suck too because they would like each issue they would say who's guest starring next. The Green Lanterns are guest starring next. So I'm like, John Stewart, Hal Jordan, Tomar. I mean, no, none of the above.
Yeah, but
I get the dog and Mo Shepard.
Daniel Martin points out. Yeah. Oh, the guy that's gonna.
Oh, he has to have it. Yeah. If you're gonna do it, he has to have it.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, he's gonna have that vest and yeah.
The worst Green Lantern costume of all time. Those stupid boots.
And the still image of Wayne T. Carr, we didn't see the scene, but that just the still image with the suit and the ring. I mean, that just looks so gorgeous.
Let's see. It does seem like Gunn's a big fan of Keith Giffen.
Yeah, I would agree based on a lot of the decisions he made.
And it sucks because I'm a huge fan of Keith Giffen. Just not like I said, I forgave him for his Justice League stuff. I forgave him for poor man's Wolverine with black clown makeup on. I forgave him for all that because he did so much greatness. I mean, like I said, between him and Paul Levitz is why Legion of Superheroes is as legendary as it is. His run on those storylines in the early to mid 80s and the early 90s were great, especially his pre-crisis. If there's anybody who got screwed from crisis stories and all that, it was him, because a lot of his characters got retconned and they were still saying, hey, write Legion of Superheroes. How can I when John Byrne says there's no Superboy? So they had to go over that kind of stuff, and they had to create a pocket universe. And his use of the time trapper is he used a time trapper like Da Vinci uses brush, man. So I mean, I am not doubting Keith Giffen's greatness. However, like I said, every one of my favorites has a bad day at the office. Denny Villeneuve hasn't had one yet, but I'm pretty sure he will. He'll make a rom com somewhere or human interest bullshit. You know, he'll want to branch out, and he'll do his Titanic or some shit like that, and I'll be like, okay, but it won't take away from 24/9. It won't take away from Arrival. It won't take away from Dune, but it'll still be out there. It's just like Lobo doesn't condemn Keith Giffen. JLI and his work on Justice League doesn't condemn Keith Giffen. He's still great in my eyes. It's just like, why are we reminding me?
Piranha 2 doesn't condemn Cameron.
Yeah. Why is James Gunn want to remind me of his worst shit? But hey, it's just me. I do. Fuck JLI. It sucks.
Well, again, if that was kind of positing last night. Excuse me.
We both suck today, but
yeah. God, we've both been a wreck this week. But just a moment. But yeah, going back to what I was saying last night, that's the theory I've had is that if that is what Gunn is building up to, is that does that speak to just how much of an impact the situation with Zack Snyder's Justice League has had on DC as an IP cinematically, where it's like they feel like they almost feel like we can't touch JL in the the classical traditional roster lineup unless it's A, with his characters, and potentially even B, with him handling them, because
that's not good though. That's not good for anybody. If that's the case, then they're gonna fail. Because like I said last night, and for those of you because I haven't put the stream back up yet, you cannot do this scared. If you're going to do this, you can avoid nothing. If you are going to run scared, you are going to run into a wall. Now that may be a possibility. I don't think it is, and I hope it's not. But that is a death nail before you even get started. You cannot do this and be afraid. And the predecessors tried that, and they failed miserably. So I would hope that if he's gonna do this, he uses the characters he wants to use. Unfortunately, he's using them shitty ones that I never want to see. But you know what? That's fine. That's his story. Let him tell his story. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that, like I said, I think because Zaslav was so detached from anything fan wise, as far as that goes, he doesn't know the IP. That's why he hired James Gunn. It sounds like Zaslav's appreciation of IP is what they mean as far as monetary goes, which is his job. That's all his job is to carry. He should be hiring the people that have that indication. But remember, the basis that he hired James Gunn on had nothing to do with DC or whether he was even qualified for DC or not. I think he is, but that's not the process that Zaslav went through. Zaslav was thinking Guardians of the Galaxy, but it has no shit to do with whether somebody can do a DC story. Granted, now if I would have done the analysis and I would have come up with the point that this guy, especially after seeing some of his DC stuff, and drawing all the lines to it, but that's not it doesn't sound like that's the process that Zaslav went through. He looked at some Marvel shit and said, well, yeah, the guy, look what he did. How come he's not running? I mean, the question that he asked when considering James Gunn pretty much disqualifies him that he even knows, that he even cares about that. So he's not going to care about how those characters were previously used as far as what James Gunn does. And James Gunn can't care about those characters, how they were used. James Gunn cannot care about Zack Snyder's world if he's going to succeed in his. If he's either got to go balls to the wall with his vision or not at all. And if he's scared now, and I don't think he is, but if he's hesitant in using whatever is at his disposal, he's gonna fail. And I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's doing JLI because that's the kind of, listen, every comic book fan is different. I would sit next to comic book fans who actually like JLI, and I would look at them as just as crazy as I'm looking at anybody else who brings these up. But James Gunn was that guy. James Gunn was that fan who liked JL. I can't fathom why anybody did, but he's that guy, and I think that's why he's making these movies, is because he's a fan of that era of Justice League. It's tragic to hear this, but hey, we'll see how it turns out. I mean, Nicotina laid out some good groundwork of how this all could come back home as far as what we know as far as the traditional Justice League goes. And I was very intrigued with that, and I added a little bit more to it as far as how Kingdom Come went along, as far as the version of Justice League that we see with Justice League International is the corporate softened version that takes orders, whereas Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, they ain't taking orders from anybody, so they no longer suited what the world needed as far as their heroes for hire type deal. So on that note of it, I'm really interested to see if he, and I'm not saying we were just speculating, if he's to take that route and he uses authority and all these other characters as a contrast to what is now versus what Superman, Batman, and all the other people, their legacy represents. That would be kind of interesting. I would need to hear that from him though as a premise for me to get on board with it. Right now, we're just guessing now. All right, so yeah. It's hard not to. It's really hard not to. It's just like, ugh. Do you think Gunn will cram his overbearing music?
I think he's talking about needle drops.
Yeah,
that's just a lot of needle drops in Legacy. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I love when art directors use music in the forms that he's done it. It gets people into the conversation about the songs, and a lot of it is you get a generation that never heard those songs. It's new to them now. It's kind of cool seeing, like I said, I didn't like the music that was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but it was cool to hear some fucking 17-year-old who wasn't even, whose parents weren't even embryos when some of these music came out, talking about it now. Because once you start talking about music, you start listening to music, and once you start listening to music that was not in your, in your halo at the beginning, you've expanded your horizon. So yeah, I hope he does use the needle drops, because that's cool, Okay, Brandon's about to get the stream spinning. Nah, that would be 3 for him though. He's got 2 banners now.
Yeah, okay.
I see George R.R. Martin. I automatically don't want to answer this question. William, what's your opinion on George R.R. Martin? Has watched the first 2 episodes of House of Dragons. Dark, very dark. They make you cry, powerful, emotional, gut-wrenching. Well, I know what happens in the first 2 episodes, and that first episode is going to piss some people off. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who have not, do not know the context of the story, but for those of you who do, and those of you who saw how last season ended, that's not going to sit well. There's going to be a tit for tat, and that reaction to what happened last season is not pretty. It's pretty fucked up. It's one of the most fucked up things you're ever going to see in Game of Thrones. And given how many things in Game of Thrones are just absolutely reprehensible, what happens probably in these first 2 episodes is, if you've chosen a side, you're probably going to have a hard time maintaining that allegiance. That's all I'll say about that one. But if they do what that they're supposed to be doing, and what they've let people know what the first 2 to 3 episodes are pretty much about, yeah, it's going to be unsettling, and it's going to be brutal. The entire Dance of Dragons storyline is not a pretty one. It's basically led to what you see in Game of Thrones, which is the Targaryens feeding on themselves, and it's not pretty how it happens. All I got to tell you is that the smart side wins.
Spider-Man's got one for me right up here. Brad also saw an interview with Ron Hall earlier. Have you interviewed him? I have not interviewed Ron Hall. I would love to, though. So, yeah, Ron Hall, he's a kind of well-known stunt guy, fight coordinator, and things of that nature, but I have not had the privilege of speaking with him. But, yeah, that comes my way. I will definitely jump on that.
How are you doing, Dade? What's going on?
I'm seeing this one again because that was above the. That's the thing. That's one hurdle. Like, yeah, because I mean, Gunn, as we all know, he does. Even though he is doing a Superman movie now, he does tend to, in his body of work, kind of gravitate more towards the the C and D list characters, but my God, like Guy Gardner.
Well, technically, I guess he's not. I guess he'd be a B character because he is a Green Lantern. He has been around quite a while.
He's
but
the Green
he's
Lantern.
not
Even Green Lantern
either.
diehards can't stand.
Yeah, he's not when you say Green Lantern appearing next issue. That's not the one I want. And if you give me him, I'm going to be mad. I waited a month for that. They're going to ruin Blood and Honey with a big budget. Nah, I mean $5 million is not a big budget. I mean, it's still the same guys making it. It's just them making a better movie because they have better resources. That's all. How are you doing, Aaron? Mickey Mouse going into public domain next month? No, he is not.
No, hell yeah. They will get that sorted out.
Yes and no. Steamboat Willie is going to go into public domain. And even that Disney's fighting and will probably win. Mickey Mouse himself will not go into public domain. It's just the inspiration for him, Steamboat Willie, which became Mickey Mouse. That is going to go up for public domain. But right now, Disney's suing me. I think Disney's going to win that one, but there's a chance that can go. Mickey Mouse himself, as Mickey Mouse proper, as they have used him over the years, that is not going to go into public domain because that is a consistent current design representation that they use to this day, and is not drifted. It's never drifted into public domain. But Steamboat Willie is the one that they're talking about. I going to stream clear? No. It's too long, and I don't think a lot of people are interested in it. I just don't think a lot of people would. Maybe if you guys tell me you're interested in it, right? The next one is Midnight Meat Train. That's going to happen next. Either next Friday night, Saturday. It's going to happen next weekend at some point. Let's see, but yeah, that because of
Droga, let me take this one from Droga because it's actually I'll give you guys a little bit of a peek into some of my work here. Had the interview Joe Taslim, of course. Joe, you guys saw him when I showed the other two raid trailers a couple nights ago. Yes, I have interviewed Joe Taslim actually, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show this to you guys right now. I pulled up some of my screen rant work on Cyphers there. I'm not showing any of my Kung Fu Kingdom work here, so I'll go ahead and show you guys my Joe Taslim interview right now. So there's the page. Everybody, this is the page for Kung Fu Kingdom, the martial arts site I write for. Type his name there, and come on. Yep, there we go. It's my interview with Joe Taslim. I did that back in 2020 for his role on Warrior, the HBO Max series that Bruce Lee did. Yeah. So there you go. You guys, this is the first look at that. Yeah, no. And the cool thing about it is too is that it kind of has a similar tone to Game of Thrones in terms of like the Game of Thrones in the Old West with Kung Fu.
Yeah, but there's no dragons.
Well, there's dragons, just symbolically.
Not as much.
There's the spirit of the dragon there. Come on.
Yeah, not as much TNA. You tell a Game of Thrones person.
No Warrior.
You tell a Game of Thrones person to go watch Warrior, they're gonna come back at you like, man, what'd you tell me that for?
So yeah, this is my first time I pulled up my Kung Fu Kingdom work here on the Sci-Fi Center. But yeah, this is my interview with Joe Taslim a couple of years ago, and yeah, he was a real pleasure to talk to. I mean, obviously, a big thing about it, we talked about Warrior, but we talked a little bit about also his for anybody who's seen The Night Comes for Us. We talked about that, in fact, because that ends kind of ambiguously with he may or may not still be alive at the end, but he was told by the director, Timo Jahanto, he is still alive at the end of The Night Comes for Us. So Timo's trying to get that and a couple of spin-offs off the ground. So I guess we would see Joe back as a part of that. And yeah, also this was before Mortal Kombat, so I asked him, get to talk to him a bit about that. But yeah, this is my interview with Joe Taslim, everybody. So yeah, go give it a read if you want to kind of see me gonna take a deep dive in his career.
Yeah, make sure you don't play no music on it. All right, while we're at this, let's move that dial from 2510. Now let's get it to at least 20. Can we get it to 2600 by the end of the show? Maybe. Anybody?
Yeah, come on, everybody.
I know it's late Saturday night, and most of the people who are watching have already donated, but I've already put the link into the chat a couple of times. So, and like I said, I will be. I'm going to be on ACS. I'm going to get with Nicotina to get on. I want to get on the 4 Nerds, and I'm also going to be. I'm definitely. possibly next Friday, depending on what Pena's schedule is. Will be on. I was supposed to be the guest 2 weeks ago, but I couldn't do it. So I will be the guest soon. And like I said, we're going to be promoting this and doing some other things to getting a hold of people. I mean, just that date. The hardest thing about this, I thought, was going to be, like I said, getting the bandwidth out there. The hardest thing about this so far is just getting anybody to commit to 3 days, the last Friday before Christmas. It's just really
So it might be so that might in some aspect that might make the one for Scargiver a little bit easier because that's going to be in April. So
it's going to be in April, but yeah, we got people that are and plus
traveling, like have family commitments,
yeah, and then they're going to be seeing it themselves the night before. But yeah, but like I said, well, it is what it is. I mean, I didn't determine the release date of Rebel Moon, but I just committed to doing our work whenever it came out. So, like I said, I didn't know. I might have done it on Thursday. You know what? If I'd have known that they were going to release it on Thursday, I might have just planned it for then. Technically, I could still change the date, but I don't know. So many people have the 22nd in their head. I wonder if it would even matter. I have to think about that.
Okay. Droga has a question here. I'm pretty sure it's facetious. Brad, thoughts on the hashtag campaign sell Marvel Amazon Prime was made by me. Yeah, and of course that's a little bit of a spin on Cell Cyberverse to Netflix. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, okay. So the reason why neither would ever happen is so once again,
well, you said the blockade is the will to make it happen in either case.
That is the main thing. Is that does any part? Because if you wanted to, you could do it. If you wanted to, you could do anything. They control all. I mean, the IP owner, no matter what company it is, Disney owns DC owns IP. They own the IPs. They can do whatever they want with them. Just like Sony can do whatever they want to. It's do you want to do it? And that's what I always said at the beginning. The willpower is the first question you have to ask, not whether it can be done or not, not even whether it should be done or not. Is their will to do it? Because dollars and cents wise, you can make anything happen. If all sides come to the point where it's like, yeah, we can. This makes us better, then it can happen. But all sides would have to even come to the table to begin with. Some people just don't want to be bothered with it. It's just so easier to do other things right now. So, and plus, when you're talking about like a DC or when it's DC, they will never sell anything to do with DC. People are always coming up with dumb shit like they should sell DC to so. It's never going to happen. Just the fact that you're saying that just tells me like, okay, you're just spouting some bullshit because if you would have shareholders and stockholders suing the company if they ever tried to do that because you would be devaluing the company so much that you are endangering their investment. So you're never going to see Warner Brothers sell DC.
Well, that's why you've always
licensing things,
Yeah, that's why you've always said as far as like the Zack Snyder's as far as this applies to finishing Zack Snyder's DC movie story. I mean, we've always made clear it's like that would just be a licensing
it's a licensing
agreement that would not be selling the entirety of the IP. It would just be it's like, okay, we're giving you we're licensing to you. You can make these couple of movies with these characters.
We're the distributor. We have final say on, we're the executive. We have final say, but to a point, you can do what you want to do. But to be honest with you, while I would be negotiating that, I would be like, why the fuck why am I giving this to you? And then two, like I said, I think that the first thing that should be done, and every day I evolve to this point is just give me that 12-issue miniseries. Because here's the thing, what that does. Once you put that on the table and you track those sales, and I promise you, those things are going to sell. Those things are going to sell. They're going to sell, and they're going to sell. They're going to sell amongst the geeks, and they're going to sell amongst the speculators. All those people who laughed at that joke, a lot of those people know what this is. They know what it is. They know and it costs you nothing comparatively to make a 12-issue miniseries, comparatively to making a movie. Now, once you make that, you put that story on the table. Now you have that. And once you watch the numbers of that and you see the cultural impact of that, and anything else you might add added to it, all those people, these detractors, that shuts them the fuck up because now you have data. You have hard data on interest, and then you parlay that. You say, okay, um, let's do some reprints and everything else because you don't want to say, well, just because this did well here, that's not you parlay that. You make sure that you sample that, and almost everything else you do, you see where it's trending, you see where it goes, you see if that little Venn diagram to where you have those overlapping demos, and then you're like, okay, we have something here. Now you start listening to data instead of bonehead Twitter heads and YouTubers, and pundits. You have data now. You have people are buying this. What Warner Brothers is going to know how many of them are being distributed because they're the ones that commission them to get them printed out and send them to the middleman to the dealer. So they'll know, 12 issue miniseries that that takes all the liability off of it because, like I said, it does not cost you anything to make a comic book. You own the IP. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to pay any actors. You don't have to pay anybody that. That story belongs to you. You give Zack Snyder credit on it because it was hitting all the people you get their little print, just like what Stan Lee got. You put that right there, and you sell it, and you see how it goes. And if it tanks, and I'll have a bunch of like Superman, Death of Superman sitting on my counter, or it's going to do what I think it would do, and I think it would sell.
I think I mean the legend around this whole thing is such that whatever format you would put it in, it's like it would perform very, very well.
But stop the sell. Here's my advice: stop the sell thing. If you want to continue to do it, that's great. I don't think that's the right route because it does not give you the lineage. What you're asking somebody to do is spend a whole bunch of money based on the theory. What I'm saying is start with this and give you an indication and give you a potential revenue, and that's data. Now you have data going for you than a theory. I think you should make Mindhunters season 3 based on the theory that I think it will pick up and do it. That's not enough. You're not speaking the proper language to the people you want something from. So I say my advice would be stop all other means to resolve this other than the easiest one that you can get out there. Stop with the sell thing. Stop with the restore thing. Stop with all that. The only hashtag that should be out there right now is hashtag make ZSJL comic book. That's it. It's the only hashtag. Not make, not bring back this guy, not bring back that guy, not bring back Cabell, not bring none of that. The hashtag. It cost you pennies to make this. Getting this out there is farting is more difficult than getting thousands of these out.
The perfect example that you pick a Thor comic with Spider-Man on it to illustrate it. But.
Yeah, it costs you pennies on, and by comparison for staples and paper and ink and mass production, and you get it. You own everything. You get that out there, and you monitor that. But the conversation should be just limited to that. Hashtag make ZSJL comic book.
Well, to go by your point with data, because I'm kind of curious also, this goes back to all the DC movies that have just moved over to Netflix now. It's like, and again, they're doing apparently very well by all indications. So that's another kind of a data stream for them to look into. So I mean that's
it is, but it's a harder one. Even I was on board with that. You analyze that data too. You take that in conjunction with that. But that's probably not going to be a deciding factor on whether they're ready to spend 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million, on that, based on the theory of it. Because guess what? We're not telling that story. We're not, we're giving you stuff that's already out there. Here, you're telling the story that we hadn't seen yet. And we're seeing with the potential of that story on that paper, on that cheap paper that's cheaper than hiring an actor, on that paper. Now the story is out there. Not the movies that have been out there and been through the trenches already. The story that you're trying to get them to spend the money on is now out there in some fashion or form making money. and let it go from there. Whatever they decide to do from there, they now have data based on the new story and not us just clinging on to the old story. Like I said, the only hashtag that should be out there right now, or is like I said, hashtag. You can put it in there. You want to type in hashtag make ZSJL comic book. That's it.
Well,
All
there
these
is one
other
other.
things, your odds are against you because you're now adding factors in that realistically, companies might be a little bit squeamish at. It may be a slam dunk for you, for Fanboy, but we're not spending the money on it. You're asking somebody to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a long Jeep. I'm telling you to spend maybe $100,000 to make several covers.
Well, as fourth points out, there is one other hashtag we should be putting right now out there. So I mean, come on, yeah. I mean, it just writes itself.
Nobody knows who that is, by the way. I know who it is. I'm sorry, our audience, for the random obscure reference that none of you are going to know. But yeah,
if you watch a lot of Fox News, you'll have heard that name a lot.
But yeah, that's the hashtag right there. So, and guess what? And if it bombs, guess what? You didn't lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Nobody's going to get fired. Nobody's going to get Howard deduct out of their career. But if it sells, and now you go on, all right, guess what? I start selling these slipcovers. That's what happened with Kingdom Come. Each year they would come out with something for Kingdom Come that was like, wow, this is only supposed to be a 4-issue miniseries that was supposed to be, an Elseworld story, a one-time Elseworld story. And Kingdom Come turned into something because people kept buying it and they kept buying different formats of it.
Well, the same thing happened with Injustice.
Yeah. Okay, so now I got my 12 issues. I made my money out of this. I want that slipcover or hardcover, that nice, remember the one that came out for Kingdom Come was beautiful. It was black leather and it had the dark red Superman S on it. Man, they sold a lot of those. They were selling out. And you do one for Justice League. You keep, and you see how the trade paperbacks. Oh, I missed the comics. I don't want to pay all that money because now that they've skyrocketed in value, if that happens, you know what? Now I got Amazon. Amazon's got a trade paperback for you. Has all that stuff in it. New editions, new covers. Just so much money you can make if you do it right.
This just occurred to me. Do you think that the Rebel Moon prequel comic, if that's a big hit, do you think that might actually spur some interest in everything you're suggesting if that ends up being a big hit when it comes out next year?
Only in the fact that it says that his name has marketability on that forum, on that.
Yeah, that's
platform.
What I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I say I don't even see. Here's the thing, though. I can understand the hesitation to spend a lot of money on movies. I understand that, and that's why the odds of us getting continuation on that format anytime soon is probably nil. But that's not what I'm talking about here, though. The risk here is mitigated. Because of the cost it costs to put those things out is not even. You probably pay more for catering than you would to actually produce these. And I'm serious, and it would do a lot of different things. It brings people into the genre, into our genre, and it allows us to move them around because once they're in the genre, then you can expose them to your streaming shit. You can expose them to your movies, your IP. And that's what I mean about you got to get people excited about DC as an entire brand, not just one movie. Like I said, I hope and pray that they're not putting
just
all their
holding off on doing that until they start the Legacy.
Yeah, and I hope that Superman Legacy is not the Babe Ruth that they're looking to clear the bases. That's just too much weight to put on a movie. But we're talking comic books, right? We wouldn't even have any. James Gunn wouldn't even have a job if it wasn't for comic books. There's not a job at DC. So why don't we get back to let's come home. Let's bring the storyline home. Let's give me 12 issues, not a 6 issue. Give me 12 issues because 12 issues gives you time to tell the story the way you want it to see.
Well,
you have splash pages and stuff like that. And depending on who the artist is, oh my goodness.
Well, I remember when Marv, after Full Circle, when Marv Wolfman, he put out the tweet saying, Ben Affleck's Batman movie sounds really amazing. I would love to see that brought to life. I mean, that was, that was at that point, that's what kind of got me to think it's okay, somebody's going to do something with, with all this material sooner or later. So, what William's talking about as far as like getting it all on paper and then letting it do just fly off, because all this stuff would fly off the shelves. I have zero doubt about that. And then if there's any potential cinematically for that, then they could dive into that. But that would be kind of taking the scenic route as far.
But here's the thing, though. This bypasses shithead critics. This bypasses shithead fanboys that are laying in the bushes for anything that comes out to kill. This bypasses Rotten Tomatoes. This fucks cinema score. This only matters to the person who pays their money and buys it, because this is tangible. You buy this, and if it continues to sell, nobody can tell you, well, it sucked. The only reason it did this. No, because if issue 2 does better than issue 1 and you increase the print run, and you're selling, second printings and everything else, that tells you that the demand has bypassed the bullshit. See, when you're putting out entertainment and you're putting out movies, you can skew the opinions and everything else like that. But when you're putting out something like this, it's real easy to tell what's going well and what's not. You can do it. You can find out real quick, and you can make decisions based on a whole bunch of things. So once again, I say suspend all other efforts, because they're not realistic right now. And all they do is, like I said, they become an asshole magnet for everybody who wants to distort the conversation. Let's turn the asshole magnet off, and let's go home. Go to where we're at here. I'm a comic book guy. I'm biased. I'll tell you that. But we're talking about a comic book IP. Why not? Does it sound so insane that let's tell a story that it would cost hundreds of millions of dollars to put somewhere else? And even if you have, grandeur, goals as far as getting it, on IMAX somewhere, you got to start. It all started here. Everything we're talking about started on a page. So why not just use the page?
And it would, like I said, it would fly. I mean, the legend around his whole roadmap, his whole story, it's such that it's like it would fly off the shelves, and then they would have immediate days saying, oh, maybe we should now we've gotten this on paper, and we should get this on camera now. So but yeah,
see, I wouldn't even, like I said, to me, just get it on the paper first. Get it on the paper first, and then let them look at the numbers and
look at the data for it. Yeah.
And if they decided it's still not viable, at least we're not going with, oh, wonder what would happen at the end of that. And as much as I respect Nicotine and all those guys who Zebrafed who did
Justice League, you haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, this would be coming from DC. This would be canon. So, that's what I say.
I got a couple of questions here I want to address real quick. If you could find anyone from a martial arts movie, who would it be? That's a tough question.
Bruce Leroy. Next question.
Yeah, he wouldn't be. I did interview Ty Mock also a while back. I might be stereotypical to say Bruce Lee, because he was just such an influence on my childhood. I'd say Bruce Lee, or maybe like
I'd want to see that.
I get destroyed, but I mean, I don't care.
Goodbye,
maybe more specifically, I might see like the Bruce Lee character in Enter the Dragon. We're going by like characters as opposed to like a big star in real life. But Aaron said, clarifying is yes. I work for Screen. Yeah, I write for both Screen Rant and Kung Fu Kingdom. Those are the two outlets. I'm thinking about maybe is there as far as my journalistic career, I might what I might do in the future. But yeah, those are my outlets at the moment where you can find all my work.
Do you think what happens to Justice Society of America? I don't know. I don't know what he's got planned. Or do you think they will still try another movie with Black Adam because it was a failure? It depends on who determines a failure.
Well, apparently it's doing gangbusters on HBO Max and on Netflix. Yeah. So
remember, guys, we fans don't determine failure. All right, we only determine our opinion about success and failure. We don't know what the fuck a win or a loss is. It's because it's not our money. We don't know what the goals were. We don't know what the goals are, and that's the thing. Unless it's your money, or unless you knew ahead of time what the goals are, then we don't know what's a failure or what's not. We can paint things as a failure, and that's why I during the strike I was always wanting people to come out with numbers and everything else, because since we don't have that, any clown can say something's a success or a failure. and it doesn't necessarily be true. We don't know the goals. We don't know, a lot. There's too much that a fan doesn't know to be able to say Black Adam was a failure. Because fan expectations don't mean shit. They don't pay for anything as far as that goes, as far as like, what gets justified for making another movie. So there may be enough there. There may be enough data there. We don't know. I'm not saying there is for them to say, you know what, under the circumstances that Black Adam was released under, it did what it did. And I always say, if somebody else, if they were to take over something like that, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to not do what the previous people that they're there for did. And if your ego is going to tell you that Black Adam, the movie, wasn't necessarily a failure, how it was managed was a failure, I, the new guy who just got hired because that guy got chased, can do a better job than him. So instantaneously, you're going to have somebody who thinks they can do more with that IP than the previous person did it. So yeah, that's why you probably see things made. There's always going to be somebody else who thinks they can do better than the last guy, largely because they're there because that guy got fired. So you have to know what failure is first. And I doubt that YouTubers and us and Twitter heads have a better understanding of what failure is than the actual people whose money it is.
Oh, Droga. So you're going to see me as Lobo pretty soon, apparently.
Yeah.
And actually, William, we're actually pretty good amount of the show. We actually haven't gotten started in the topics yet, so I thought I might just go ahead and mention that.
Mention what? Oh, sure. Are we a good ways in the show? Yeah, we're about an hour and 22 minutes on it. This is going to be a really quick show, by the way, guys, because I don't feel good. So
yeah, we have definitely fewer topics listed than we usually do because of every reason.
We're not going to be here till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning unless I get a burst of energy, and I fucking doubt that's going to happen.
And by the way, since one of the topics is Rebel Moon, I might bring up something that happened with me today that was related to it. But go ahead and start on it though.
All right, so I'm going to start with our musical topic of the evening, and it's Melon, Collie and Infinite Sadness. I could bring this up on screen, but I memorized this whole damn album. It is the double album that was released in 1995 by Smashing Pumpkins. It was a successor to Siamese Dream, which at the time was one of the best albums of the 90s. It was eclipsed by this one. And for most of you guys in any generation, you probably know the most famous song of it was Bullet with Butterfly Wings. But there was a lot of songs on this album.
Yeah, I listened to this pretty frequently back in high school.
There's probably not a time during a month where I don't listen to Melon, Collie, at least a song from Melon, Collie and Infinite Sadness, at least once a month. I listen to Bodies on the regular. Bodies by if I told you guys that that was the one song that they would not play on the radios because it was about bodies burning, and that's just but like I said, when I brought up Tool the other day, they would play Prison Sex on the radio 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon while I'm on hold trying to get my song, because that's the way you had to do it back in this era. You had to call and request, and I got rejected. The only time they would play it is really, really super late at night and on college radio. So Melon, Collie, it actually had 28 tracks. It was technically two albums, Starlight, Starbright, and all that, and then the next part was its own album, and it had a different tone. Zero's another one that got a lot of airplay. The main songs that you probably heard on there, the biggest hits were Bullet with Butterfly Ring and The World is a Vampire, and that was the last time you saw Billy Corgan with hair. Zero, that's where he started wearing. He actually started wearing a Zero shirt, and
they played a snippet of that in Black Adam when they first show Modern Day Kondak.
Because it was at the time I think Warner Brothers owned it. Tonight was the ballad from that song. The title track, Melon, Collie and Infinite Sadness. Muzzle was a great song. A lot of these songs did not make it on to the radio because there was 28 songs. It was a huge album. 1979 was one of the bigger hits from that one. Now the the songs that they played on the radio were great. They were good songs, but the songs that they did and where Boys Fear to Tread was awesome. Bodies is quite possibly, other than Quiet, which is on Siamese Dream, quite possibly the best overall Smashing Pumpkins songs ever. And given their body of work and how long they've been around, Bodies, which is track 2 off of disc 2, for me it was tape 2 because my broke ass didn't have the disc money, was is the best. In fact, you know what? We're not going to play it because I don't want to become Brad and get us kicked off. But I will. I'm going to put it into the link for those of you who don't. Hold on. Let me mute myself real quick. Like I said, I'm gonna be on Brad like here. Hold on.
Droga, if you're talking about when this album was released, I think this would have been during the Clinton administration. Yeah. See what else we got in the comments here. Yeah, he just added that there in the comments. You guys want to give a listen?
This was Clinton. This was during Clinton's the end of his first term. Yeah, it was the last year of his first term because he was reelected in 1996 and served from 1997 to 2001. So this was the last year of the Clinton administration. I don't know if you're calling me old for that, but tell you what, I will match this double album against anything that has been released since then. I will take Melon, Collie, and the Infinite Sadness, and that includes other Smashing Pumpkins albums. That there were 3 more that came after. I will match this up against anything in that era. It holds up, and a lot of the soft shit that's come out today. This kills it. This kills it in tone. This kills it in power. This kills it in like I said, there's power chords in here. There's ballads in here. This like I said, this is to me, and like once again, most of the stuff that I bring up comes from an era, in my opinion, that 5-year era between 1993 and 1998 hasn't been matched, and actually it kind of got deteriorated after that because you started getting the rap rock stuff, which wasn't bad, it just wasn't good. It just you had a lot of stuff out there that was just this wasn't the instrumentals of it. It just went away.
Yeah.
The art of the guitar went away.
You thought it was going to be Ronald Reagan, the actor? Who would you think was vice president? Jerry Lewis?
He's trying to be funny, but it failed. But no, this album, like I said, I put Bodies. For those of you who haven't heard Bodies, like I said, in my opinion, it is the best Smashing Pumpkins song. And they, like I said, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, even though they had Siamese Dream was a big hit for them. We featured that album on the show. It was a big hit for them. That's the album I saw them tour on when they came out here. They were touring for that album. They were making this album while I was watching them on stage. They had already finished this album, and it was going to be their next big thing. And it was pretty ambitious because they hadn't been around long enough to like a lot of people's opinion, to put out a double album. That's usually something you do when you've been around quite a while and you've accumulated a lot of songs. Nah, fuck it. The third, fourth album, they were ready. And like I said, 28 tracks on this. 28 tracks on this. And most of them, like I said, didn't get airplay, not because they weren't good. It's because you could only play, so many things and so many rotations. So you actually had, if you wanted to experience this album, the best of this albums, you had to buy it. And that's probably one of the best marketing tools. Zero has one of the best throughout tracks of any of their songs. To Forgive, Ode to No One is another good song. Like I said, Take Me Down. Like I said, Bodies, I already told you. 33 is great. 1979 is probably one of the softest things on this album. By Starlight, which is the title track to this version of it, and Farewell and Goodnight is awesome. It's like an interlude. It's great.
this was one of those albums. This was one of those albums. 1995 was like where you would draw the line to where post-grunge alternative really started to take hold and really started to, like I said, you had radio stations that were literally built and transformed to play this type of music because you weren't getting it. And that was the biggest problem with grunge. And that's why grunge broke through like it did, because radio stations weren't playing it and people would hear it and they would demand it. The mainstream radio stations wouldn't play it, but those mainstream radio stations owned other radio stations. So a lot of your easy listening stuff just went away. And all of a sudden you had an alternative station. That's how 103.5 The Edge, and here in Vegas, that's how it came about. It was something else. And then overnight, it was this, because they didn't want to play this type of music on their easy listening stuff, but they knew there was demand out there, and that's how it happened. And like I said, these 1995 changed radio, for that era, because we weren't going to get the type of music that these albums represent on Kiss FM. Or on 105.5, the 80s, any of these stations like that. 90s to them was I can't even name some of the soft bands that were out there. That our Nickelback, something like that. Something that's as hard as they would go on some of this stuff, and that's not hard. So this album, I remember this one out. I mean, they also changed college radio at the time, because college radio here didn't know where to go after grunge. Everybody was, especially after Kurt Cobain died, everybody thought grunge. Everybody, they thought everybody was going to want to disassociate themselves from grunge, because but that wasn't the case. It just evolved. And when these albums started coming out, like I said, these albums took radio to a different level. And especially when you had something like this, 28 tracks, this was a great album. Like, I remember buying it and listening to it all the way through. So just imagine the average track time was 4-something minutes on here. So you do the math on that ones. So, but like I said, my favorite song, my favorite Smashing Pumpkins song, period, is Bodies, and I put it in the chat. If you guys are listening for the first time, let me know how you what you think of it. But that is the abbreviated musical topic of the week, because like I said, I feel like shit. So we're gonna move through these things. And we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and bring up the Rebel Moon thing, since that's a constant topic for us for quite a while now, and it probably will be. So if you got something you to bring up, go ahead.
A constant topic for us really through April, between the two movies and the prequel comic.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be on anything that requires us having a thumbnail. It's probably going to be on there. Let's see where we are. Speaking of Rebel Moon, let's see. So. Not rewind. We're still at 2510. Not bad.
Yeah, like I said, I got a couple of people I've shared this with who are sharing it around, who are going to be donating pretty. So we should be seeing that number hopefully increase pretty soon here. But yeah, to lead into the Rebel Moon topic, I had probably the stupidest troll back and forth thing happen to me on Twitter today. I don't know if you
saw it.
You did, yeah. Well, because it all began with. This.
Who started it? That's my question. Did you start it, or did he come after you?
I did not start it. The hell
so
I started. Came after you.
He came after you?
Yeah, he came at me because I quote tweeted this one journalist on Twitter I follow, who she posted and it's part of like a little kind of cluster of Twitter. I think we're both sort of attached to, called Action Twitter, because it's a genre we both love. And she quotes me and said, "Hey, Twitter, what are your favorite action movies for 2023?" And I listed off ones like John Wick 4 and a whole bunch of others, and I included Rebel Moon with the caption, presumably, because I'm thinking like, okay, I mean, I'm a Zack Snyder fan. It's like that's really a staple of his body of work, is his fight scenes, his action, his all that good stuff. So I'm thinking it's like, yeah, I mean, unless he was sleepwalking through the making of his passion project, I would presume this will probably make that. I could be wrong. This could be the first time he's made something that I think is a total shit sandwich, but I'm not holding my breath on that.
It can happen. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's
out there,
but then this one gentleman, who I'm not going to bring his name up, but I am going to read off his comments, so I'm at least getting it all verbatim here. Let me go back to this. And it was not that guy, by the way, who I've had previous Twitter interactions
with. No, this is a new guy. I'm like, dude, You're like a magnet for shit. It's funny.
Yeah, he said. So the comment he left me with was a Snyder bro adding a movie they haven't seen yet, priceless. And I quote. I went back a couple times. I started with. I said what I said. Like one thing I said was, "Hey, listen. I did the same with John Wick 4. I was anticipating that so much. Because of my prior experience with the franchise and the people involved with it. I'm very excited for it, and also because of that pedigree, I am making the educated guess that it will most likely be something I enjoy very much."
And I almost, and I know I don't do this because I think, what I think of Twitter and interaction. I almost chimed in and said, "What the fuck does it matter to you?"
No, people actually jumped in, were defending.
You guys, these people are caught up. Yeah, and I saw that, and that's why I'm like, you know what, good. But I'm like, we're like the stalking victims or something, like. And like I said, I just don't understand this, and it's almost like, and this is where, like I said, the wholesale Netflix thing. You know how I feel about that one way or another. We're not going to go into the dynamics of it, but I see, how I know who those guys are through other people who are obsessed with them. That's how I wouldn't have even known who some of those people were if it weren't for people, some of them in my mutual circles, that are obsessed with them. That are how do you even know what this guy posted if you're not following him? How are you, now I'm always wondering, that's why is it the other way around? I could see it if they were coming from you by name, but in most cases they're not. They say something, you don't like it, and you go on a complete, volcano about it. To me, that's kind of stalkerish. I'm like,
yeah, and
whatever you like.
I wasn't even mad about it too. I was just perplexed by the idea that, okay, so because again, the whole basis of it was I'm logically inferring from my experience with as being a fan of Zack Snyder and his body of work, it is more likely than not that I will really enjoy Rebel Moon, which is why I included it on that list with the word presumably.
And all these other goofballs that are saying that everybody does it. That's because your preference allows you to do that. And I'm like, do I need to insult you over it?
I can't get my head around the energy it would take for somebody, A, to care about that at all, and B, to care enough to get mad about that.
And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You actually wasted finger space on that. So
yeah, so there was a little back and forth on that. But he was, and other people I know kind of jumped in and said, "Hey, like Brad didn't do anything wrong," which everybody who did that, thanks. Again, I wasn't mad about it.
I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like,
it was a comedic to me, if anything, because it was like, I don't know how anybody could. That's the kind of thing anybody could give a second thought to, is the fact that I listed my anticipation for Rebel Moon, that I felt the odds of it being in my top 10 were such that I felt compelled to put it in my top 10 of this year with the word presumably. It's like that was something that somebody cared enough about to get mad about.
Yeah. There's like presumably people who like Deadpool 1, 2, and the Christmas special are going to like Deadpool 3. I'm not going to come into their tweets and tell them I think those movies suck. I think the character and the story is stupid. I'm not going to do that, even though that's how I feel. I'm not going to. If you're looking forward to it, who am I to shit on your parade? Go enjoy the fuck out of Deadpool. I will watch it on Disney Plus or Hulu, whatever the one it is. I am going to keep my streak of never spending 1 second in a movie theater to see a Deadpool movie or read a Deadpool comic anymore.
And I point out to like somebody, someone in the conversation today, who was again trying to was asking the same question, like, why do you care about what Brad posted?
Yeah,
I made the point. It's like, I could care less about Barbie, but Barbie and we both seem to be doing just fine. Two ships passing in the night. You're judging by how well Barbie did. Barbie doesn't need me to be a hit.
Yeah, if somebody's doing something that you don't like, why are you watching them? It's so easy. The little X on your screen, it's up in the upper right-hand corner of most of these platforms. And if you click it, that person goes away. But if you don't have to talk about them, you don't have to stream about them. You don't have to. You don't even need to know that they exist. Surround yourself with people who you can have a decent conversation with. But yeah, I see it on Twitter, and Twitter is one of the worst places, but it's on YouTube too. People go out of their way to fuck with people that they don't agree with. they go chasing people. It's like, why is this guy in your thumbnail? Why is this guy on a snipe stream?
Yeah,
You know,
and
why
I
is this
checked
guy
I
even
checked out
mentioned on your show? You know,
and I checked out his profile, and it's like there's all kinds of that shit with him where he's jumping into any conversation tangentially connected to either Zach's body of work or Rebel Moon or specifically or the Snyder Cut or whatever.
If he doesn't like it, then why does he even? He's hurting himself, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, it's like if you want to waste your and other people said this too. It's like, yeah, if you want to waste your Saturday just coming at me over what I'm putting on my best of, I can't. The energy it takes to care that I'm expecting to like Rebel Moon, the energy it takes to care, but even more so to be mad that I'm expecting to like Rebel Moon. I can't.
I would
How
collapse.
does anybody have the energy for that?
I would collapse under the weight of all these stupid ass movies that I know are being made that are coming out that other people are going to enjoy. You know what? I'm just not going to go see them. It's that easy. I'm not going to go see. If I think the premise is stupid, if they come out with a fucking Hot Tub Time Machine 3 or 4 or 5, we're not going to spend 1 second reviewing it, touching it. I'm not going to go see it. I don't care if they give me 1,000 tickets to promote it. I will gladly give those tickets away. I will not be there, and you won't hear. I'll hear that's stupid they're making that, but you're not going to, I'm not going to go into somebody's page and be like, you like Hot Tub Time Machine? What are you, a fucking, no, hey, you liked it? I think it's stupid. Congratulations. Have fun. We'll talk later on down the line when there's a mutual movie that we both like, and that's it. I mean, it's like, this is like, all right, The Dark Knight. I'd be excited for a ZSJL to be a graphic novel. Like if they had Alex Ross or Lieber Merho do the artwork, or Alex Ross would have to do some of the covers. But I would have Alex Ross, Mike Diodato Jr. I would love to see. Todd McFarlane. Jim Lee would have to be doing some of it, if not most of it. Graphic novel. I'm greedy. Graphic novel. No, I want a year's worth of talking points.
I would think it'd be cool if they had like an individual artist doing variant covers for each individual member of the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you get a Jim Lee cover. You get a Ron Lim cover. You get a Frank Miller. Oh, fuck. A Frank Miller cover for the one that covers Batman. Do you know? Oh, my goodness. Original art. Him and Lynn Varley or him and Klaus Janson doing the classic. The Batman section of it is just strictly done by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson and Varley.
And we know how big a fan Zach is of Frank Miller.
Yeah. I want that tomorrow. I mean, even aside from ZSJL, you give that section of him, that section of Batman being told in the way that he meant it to look like that. So he's looking like the Dark Knight. When he was having his flashback. So because you'd have enough pages to have a flashback of him going up against Superman and have it look like that battle that looked like in Dark. Oh yeah,
goodness. That would be a great
flashback. Sell. If you told somebody tomorrow we're doing a Dark Knight anything and it's Frank Miller, Jansen, or Lynn Barty, it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. And Frank Miller would love to do that because I think he loves the fact that that was an inspiration to Zack Snyder. Yeah. So yeah, you got Frank Miller doing the Batman one, you got Jim Lee doing the Wonder Woman one, and here's another thing you could do. Is you could pay homage to some of the covers that some of these artists have done. So the Dark Knight Triumphant, but it's the ZSJL, and then that Batman 426 where the Todd McFarlane, the cape cover, that one, you redo that one, and you have it, instead of having it some lady, it's Lois. I mean, there's so much you could do with the covers that the covers alone would be worth it. And one person would be buying all the variants. So if you put out 5 variants, you're basically multiplying the average comic sale by 5. Oh my goodness.
I guess I should.
It sells itself, man.
I guess I should mention now that we are on Zack Snyder's radar. If you are watching Zack, William has put some ideas out here for the a comic book format continuation of your story. So if that's something that's on your mind at all, there you go.
If I ever meet Jim Lee, dude, you run that show. Zaslav doesn't have that kind of regard for the paper. And James Gunn is doing his thing. You literally could green like that, like bam, do it. Cost effective. It gets you news. Then that's the stuff suits love that because you get news. So you would think about And then like I said, all the artists, all the living artists that are famously associated with those characters, it could have at it with some of the covers. But like I said, an entire the Batman arc of it would literally be Frank Miller, Lynn Varley, and Tosh Jansen. Oh, that would be beautiful. That would be historically
Droga
great.
says this about that part.
But no, dude, that's what I mean, though. And that's what I mean about generating the excitement from that level. You start with this, and everything starts with this. Even though 97% of the people are not reading this, this is what they're based. You got a guy running your studio who's reading these things. He's reading this for sure, All right, he's reading the Authority. He's reading all that kind of stuff. So we know that it all comes back to the paper. But and let's help comic book sales out. Come on now, I mean, those would be great to sell. And then you have the Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which is, oh my goodness, we're going to do that one pretty soon here. I want to have Dawson on when we do that, because that's me and him will love that one. If any of you have not read Wonder Woman Dead Earth, please read Wonder Woman Dead Earth. But you take Wonder Woman Dead Earth, right? And you make that art style and that Black Label style the battle for Apocalypse that he hints to. It would like I said, it would be great, because that story sold out. There's second and third printings of Wonder Woman Dead Earth, so you already know that's going to do well. And then you just put it in comic book form. Who else do we need? Aquaman. I mean, it just lends itself to this, and you have as much time and space to tell your story.
Yeah, but Jeff Johns, no, probably not.
He's done with DC anyway. But but no, it would literally be Jim Lee. It would be Jim Lee picking Frank Miller, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane. You commissioned Todd McFarlane to do.
He probably could do some really great team shots. Like for the cover.
Scott Campbell. J. Scott. I got to see him at Comic-Con. His entire booth, if you see my pictures, is beautiful. And if you follow his Instagram page, and he does variant covers. In fact, do I have any of his stuff behind me? He does. I think I sell a lot of his stuff, but he does some awesome variant covers, and his presence on the covers sells those books. It doesn't matter who what it does. But obviously Alex Ross, Alex Ross has to be involved. And there could be one issue where, or like the first issue where it's not just his cover. He does he Kingdom Comes the whole thing, right? It wouldn't be practical because it would take like 20 years to make the series if you had to do every page. But one issue should be a Kingdom Come format. Like the original battle, like the final issue should be told in the paint, just like he does it. And that would give him time to do it. So issue 12, all Alex Ross. But where is that, man? I had one up here. I think I may have sold it yesterday, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I got a lot of Alex Ross. But like I said, this there's just so many styles that you could do it with. And the advantage in comic books is obviously that you can tell a story that even with special effects and CGI, you can't necessarily tell. Even with the best special effects, some things just look ridiculous in real life, but they don't look ridiculous in the 4-color fantasies. You know what I mean? So, yeah, dude, just was the hashtag? What did I say? Hashtag
make ZSJL 2 and 3 in comic form or
no,
something like
not
that.
even 2 and 3. Not even 2 and 3. And guys, stop that. Stop it with the numberings of the Zack Snyder.
Or make the Snyderverse or comic book form.
Yeah, make ZSJL comic book. Dude, it just I'm just looking around here right now, seeing some of. I wish Frank Frazetta and Boris Vallejo were all still around, because I would love to see them, But Simon Bisley do a cover for it, man. Greg Capullo. Oh man, he works with Todd McFarlane a lot. I mean, he's with Image. I mean, just looking around at some of the things that you could do with just the covers alone, and then not even getting to the story, but the story would actually be better, I think, because you would have time. You would have time to tell it. You could go, if you don't have to go, 32 pages be the minimum. Don't screw me with a bunch of ads and all this, splash pages. But 32 pages minimum. But some of them could be, I'll pay the extra whatever to get. You want to give me another 18 pages of it? You want to do issue 1, 80-page format? And not only could you do that, not only could you tell the story that you want to tell, you could tell a lot of backstory flashbacks, reference points, like all the stuff that people have been asking for about Robin. So that part, that Batman part that Frank Miller and Varley and Jansen would do, that's where you get your Robin in a backstory. We get our straight linear story that leads us to where we are, but you get your backstory that tells you what happened to that Robin. And you
funnily
tell it
enough,
right there.
that's the exact thing Zach was hesitant to reveal details about, during the Full Circle event.
Yeah, you tell that story right there. The whole any side story that you were warning about with Wonder Woman, you find that there's Flash is on the treadmill. Flash is on the cosmic treadmill. All that, hey, Bruce, find us and all that. That you have that answering. So when the Flash part comes around, and each one of these guys would have their arc in this 12 issue series. And you get time on this. So at the end of 12 issues, you got more story than you could ever get. And like I said, I used to tell you your A story and your back page story, and your setup story, like kind of like when. And if you read Watchmen, they're telling you stories through other comics sometimes, like the Flight of the Black Ray, all that stuff. So there's other sub stories that would add context to the character. So there's stories about Superman, stuff that we didn't see that you would be at. Batman's been doing this for 20 years. There's backstory you could add to him. Give me a one-page story about Alfred's history in the SAS. Why is he such a badass? Why is he not flinching? Stuff like that. You have time now to do that. And like I said, a year. Just give me a year. Give me 12 inches. 12 inches. Oh my goodness. 12 issues.
12 issues. Give people 12 inches.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, we've already been kicked off of one stream. Why not? Let's go for it all. But no, you go 12 issues with this, something like that, and a nice format too. Nice format. You could have the cheaper format too, that you can cut a couple of dollars off so that just the average person buys it. But you have those collector's editions, and you limit them, and you make the collectible ones that raise your prices and helps out comic book stores because you resale value on there. And then you make the ones for the general public to get involved with, and that's how you brand them. And guess what? Hey, you like that comic? We got all these other movies and stuff we want you to come into. So, like I said, that hashtag make ZSJL comic book or ZSJL miniseries.
And by the way, is Ghostly going back to my Rebel Moon thing today, which I did at one point quote tweeting with us saying, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to say restore the Snyderverse. When I quote tweet him, because because I knew that was going to annoy him when I did that, so I did.
That triggers so many people. Even though I don't use that hashtag, I know the effect it has on people. It's hilarious.
But yeah, he says,
you guys need to cope, man. You guys are delusional, man. And I'm like, you're the one with all caps coming after the other guy who just made a tweet.
Yeah, I
that's
did see
who's the problem here. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and Ghostly, he was in the comments a bit on that exchange I had today. Where I laughed so hard, you kept quote tweeting that dude, kept complaining on you. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't mad or anything. It was more I was baffled again. The effort that it takes to care. That my excitement for Rebel Moon makes me think it's going to be in my top 10. The effort it takes to care, and the effort it takes for that care to turn into anger. I can't get my brain around how the energy expended on that and what that could be channeled into in your life. Yeah.
I think
exactly. Yeah. William. It's like I think William. William. Would you say based on the first Dune, when Dune Part 2 comes out next year, that you are thinking you will most likely really like Dune Part 2 and think that probably it has a very good shot of being your top 10 next year?
Yeah, and no comment. Yeah, and not only just based on that, but based on all 2049 Blade Runner, the same guy that made 2049. I'm ready to go see whatever he puts out. Except for rom-com. I want to see that. Comics. I'll just say this: the companies that own these companies that make comics are leaving a lot on the table. Like I could told you, I'm a dummy, and I just gave you a way to sell a lot of comics to and increase the brand and increase the collectorship just right there, and that would do it. And it just seems like they don't have the willpower to do these things, right? And they take the easy route. Okay. Rebel Moon should have been a streaming series.
Well,
Hey,
Zach,
you know what? I'm getting
yes.
5 hours in within a 6-month period. I mean, I'm all right, man.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because Zach mentioned in one of his recent interviews that like the behind, he's actually getting a lot. He's a lot more candid, I think, in some of these recent interviews than I think he's been in a while. And
He seems very relaxed these days.
yeah, big time. And one of the things he mentioned is that the behind the scenes, man, if this all comes, I'm just wondering like when is like everything we don't know about the behind the scenes situation of Justice League is going to come out, because one thing he had mentioned was that experience between that and of course the family tragedy, apparently that broke him so much he was thinking about like retreating from just like movie making and going more into like streaming series and things like that. And that's what he was contemplating doing with Rebel Moon. And he mentioned the fan campaign to get his version of Justice League out, that really, that kind of spurred in him the idea that Rebel Moon, let's try to get this done. You take it from being a streaming series as it was. He was thinking of doing it at the time into turning it into the 2-part movie that it's going to be as. So that's, I mean, and that's really that's something to ponder, to think about the fact that what we as a fandom have accomplished.
Fourth is about to get banned.
Yeah,
just saying.
But like what we've done, it's like we, in some sense, it's almost like we've done so much. We got his movie released. We've done so much for AFSP, but also it's like I read that thinking it's like we brought him back to filmmaking in a way.
Yeah, well, just imagine somebody, millions of people fighting for you like that. That's a good boost, man. All right, Fourth. Okay, on my way to banning you forever. Because comics went woke. Oh, it's dude. They're written about a bunch of social justice ideologies. Guess what? Fourth, newsflash. They have always been woke. They have always been written by social justice ideologies. What do you think Stan Lee was doing
with X-Men?
What do you think Stan Lee was doing with Black Panther? What do you think Stan Lee looked at the world and the injustice that was going in the world and was telling a story through this? They've always been woke. These things that you guys say that are woke these days have all. Star Trek did not become woke. Star Trek was woke from minute one, day one it was aired. You guys, everybody's sensibilities changed, but they were always aiming for those same targets. You know what I mean? Hey, it's just now the marginalized people that have always been hidden are now more of a part of a society. They are outwardly connecting with the message that has been there for 60, 70 years now. Go woke. I don't know if you're trolling me or not, but I'm going to address that as, what I think about woke. When I think of woke, I think of a guy with a club dragging his woman by her hair, looking for something dumber than him to eat. That's what I think when I hear woke. But I know you're trolling me. So there you go. All right, William, I will disagree with you. That is illegal because I've seen both on Twitter and YouTube. People either post a tweet or a video to see how many hate watches, clicks, or retweet they get. No. How are you disagreeing with me? Aren't you agreeing with me? You lost me, Manzano. That's what I've been saying. Because I've seen both on Twitter and YouTube. Other people post a tweet or a video to see how many hate watches they and clicked it. Are you saying people that are like, I guess you're saying that from the other side. I say that's dumb too. Yeah. Like what you like and navigate through your own landscape. I don't need you all to like what I like. You don't need me to like what you like. I don't need you to all be in my struggles and hopes and dreams and hope that they come through. Or, hey, I don't need you guys to care about that one way or another. I don't need either side reposting things. I wish both sides would stop. It just seems like it's more prevalent from one side, though. One side seems to be a tad bit obsessed with another side, and it's kind of creepy. All right, Archie comic is doing well. I just watched the Archie's movie on Netflix and was wonderful. You know what helped a new generation that I didn't think would ever pick up comic books, get in? Fucking Riverdale, man. Riverdale is basically Archie, and I did not get it. And man, they had a Riverdale comic in here, and I'm like, how do you even come up with that? That's thinking outside the box. Yeah, we love them, sure. Question: can bad reviews for a movie even now, if it's profit at box office hurt a director career for making now? Because Roman Emmerich gets shitty reviews and his movies for a while, made money. and he just kept getting more movies. It for some, it depends on who you're working for.
Michael Bay is pretty critic proof.
Yeah, Michael Bay, they destroy Michael Bay's movie, but as long as Michael Bay's movies make money, the Transformers movie sucked for quite a while. For the second one, didn't he do the first two?
He did, I think the first. I think he did like up until Bumblebee.
Okay, so those movies made money. Those movies didn't lose money. So yeah, I guess he actually stopped doing them. I don't think he was really interested in doing anymore. So yeah, I mean, money talks, man. Question, William, do you still Archie comics? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Aaron. And Riverdale comics, which is basically an Archie comic, technically. There's plenty of detail in his world that will. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, that idea sells itself. I'm literally saying continue a comic book story in a comic book. Oh man, it would sell. Like I said, I'm thinking like I'm the whole Alex Ross thing. Alex Ross covers sell no matter what. Alex Ross rarely does through and through comics though, because it takes him a while. But if he did that, man, if he did the final issue of it, and it's Alex Ross, like
so much of his so much of the way Zach frames the shots of the league and his, so much of his cinematography with his DC movies. I mean, you can tell it's so Alex Ross influenced.
Yeah, and then like I said, Kingdom Come. When I interviewed Mark Waid, I told him, dude, when I see BVS, when I see all these movies, I see your Superman in there. And he was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Hi, Logan Byrne.
I don't think he agreed, but yeah, he did. But he did. He wasn't the biggest fan, but I'm not going to go on his Twitter and bug him about that.
Yeah, but his work got elevated to a place it would have never gotten elevated to, because there's a lot of people who went back and read Mark Waid's material, and Mark Waid's been doing this for 40 years. All right, so let's go on. I think which is the last topic, which will be my comic book turning story, and this one's easy. This one's easy because every one of us has seen an MCU movie. Every one of us has we not one person in here, and most of the people on the globe that you walk on are not going to know who when they see Samuel L. Jackson with a patch who that is. And one of the reasons why is because of the Ultimates. Yep, the Ultimate Universe to me is one of the best things Marvel has ever done in its history. I know it had mixed reactions towards the ends there because they were farming
it back now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now they've undone that mistake, and I'm so happy. I love the Ultimates. Once you get to a certain point in an IP, you cannot really change direction because those fans of that IP is safe. You can't do certain things with it. You can't make drastic changes to it because that is what it is, right? And that's fine. That's why I love things with alternate universes, Elseworlds. Now, the Ultimates is a concept of basically Avengers. It's Avengers. And if you want to understand what the Ultimates is, you've already seen the MCU, you pretty much have a great idea of what it is. The forming of the Ultimates and the forming of the MCU version of Avengers is almost identical in some ways. Now, in the Ultimates, whereas in the standard Marvel universe, everybody got their powers. A lot of people got their powers from random things, gamma bombs, which would kill you immediately, spider bites, all kinds of things like that. Here, it's the pursuit of the super soldier serum that leads to a lot of the powers and empowerment that is in the Ultimate Universe. I'll give you an example. In the regular, 616, Hulk somehow does not get turned into a dark shadow on the ground from a gamma bomb that should kill him, or at the very best, give him the last 2 days of his life in the most worst pain that anyone would ever. But no, it turns him into a green behemoth that's as strong as God. That's fine. In the Ultimates, it's Bruce Banner's a scientist working on replicating the super soldier serum, and he injects himself into it or into his body, and that is how he becomes the Hulk. And other heroes are formed to. It's kind of like the Avengers #1, but except instead of having Loki as the central enemy, Hulk himself is the enemy, and they all work for SHIELD, which is that sound familiar? and they stop him and get him under control, and thus you have the Ultimates. And then from that, you have Ultimate X-Men, you have Ultimate Spy, we have Miles Morales because of this imprint. Those of you who love Miles Morales, this is why, because of the things they would have never been able to do. You saw if you were around in the mid-90s, you saw the diaper wedding that happened when they were going to make Ben Reilly the Spider-Man that you'd always known. That was just, oh my goodness. So they killed Peter Parker, or at the time, they killed Peter Parker Spider-Man in the Ultimate Spider-Man, and that brings about Miles Morales. You wouldn't have been able to do that in the normal brand. So let me go ahead and read the basic premise of all right, plot. The Ultimates. General Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D., Samuel L. Jackson, establishes a strike force of government-sponsored superhumans, which includes Steve Rogers, Captain America, and like I said, they find him, but in the time that he's not around, they're trying to replicate this, and it has varying effects. Scientists, couple Henry and Janet Pym, Giant Man and Wasp, Bruce Banner the Hulk, and Tony Stark Iron Man. Together, they are based in the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility at Triskelion. When Banner injects himself with the super soldier serum and goes on a bloody rampage as a Hulk, he is eventually stopped by other superhumans with the aid of Thor. It's basically like Avengers #1. The team then joined forces with mutants Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and agents Hawkeye and Black Widow. Is this starting to sound familiar to you guys? And this was long before that. Oh, also, they against the alien shapeshifters, the Chitauri, who are defeated. That's literally Avengers 2012.
Yep.
And the Chitauri are these Skrulls in this universe. They're an alternate version of the Skrulls that happened in this universe. And they basically did the Ultimates, and then they did the Ultimates 2. And your later public opinion has turned against the team when it's discovered that Bruce Banner is in fact the Hulk and is responsible for hundreds of deaths. Yeah, because he fucks up. And he just doesn't do it in the comics where, he knocks over a building. Everybody's okay. Oh, damn, I'm glad I missed that building. Oh, thank you for, no.
He flattens.
Flattened. They're getting crushed. He's landing on cars with families in them, and he's doing this over and over again. It is what would really happen if something like that, and he didn't have any control over himself, and he's just destroying things. And he's literally like Godzilla. Basically like not as big, but can do significant damage. So the team are further undermined when Thor is accused of being an escaped mental patient, as in Carter. Yeah, I remember that. This is the doing of his brother Loki, who gets introduced in Ultimate 2, who also facilitates the creation of a new team of anti-American multinationals called the Liberators. I remember, yeah. Basically, the Liberators were this universe's masters of evil. With the aid of Black Widow, who betrays the team to the Liberators, the Ultimates are captured but eventually escape, and the battle of the Liberators to the death. With the aid of Asgardian warriors, the Ultimates defeat both Loki and the Liberators. Seeing how having the Ultimates working with the United States government, police, and the world would produce similar results in their battle against the Liberators, the team decided to leave S.H.I.E.L.D. and continue to work as an independent team instead. And each year they would come out with different versions of the Ultimates, and they would name them Ultimates 1, 2, and 3. But they played for keeps with the Ultimates. They weren't afraid of killing. Yes, exactly. Them choosing when they chose the Ultimate Universe, that gave them license to do things that weren't necessarily part of the canon. But if you look at the Ultimate, like I showed you guys before, when you look at the thumbnail, look at Ultimate Captain America. That's the Steve Rogers from the movies.
From the MCU.
Yeah. So they use this, and like I said, Samuel L. Jackson. That's this. They
use his likeness for the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, and that was an agreement he had, as long as because one of the guys wanted to use him because they were a fan of Samuel L. Jackson. I can't think it was Shaft or something like that. I'm not sure which movie came first, but he said, yeah, as long as if you guys make a movie, I get to play him. And he said it jokingly, but they made the movie, and guess what? He played him. So yeah, the Ultimates 3. Let's see. Ultimates 3, Hank Pym is under arrest, and this is when everything just started to go against him. At the Ultimates mansion, one of Pym's Ultron robots drugs him and leaks a sex tape of Stark and Black Widow to the internet. There you go. These distract the robots' fatal. These these distract from the robot's fatal shooting of Scarlet Witch. Magneto abducts Wanda's corpse and retreats to the Savage Land, where he's confronted by the Ultimates. I remember that story. Uh, Pym and Wasp discover the truth about the Ultron robot, which has adopted the identity of Yellow Jacket and uses the Ultimates' DNA to create a series of android duplicates. Although the true Ultimates destroy their android counterparts and Yellow Jacket, Quicksilver is apparently killed by Hawkeye. The Wasp then invites Pym to return to the Ultimates, and he accepts. The mastermind behind the robots plot is revealed to be Doctor Doom. That's how you build up Doctor Doom if you're going to do it. The Ultimate, they had things like the Ultimate Defenders. Suddenly with superpowers, still stores hammers found. And yeah, these. It was a whole line too. It was a whole line of comics. And like I said, when they decided to kind of retcon it and merge it, I'm like, you got to be fucking serious. This is like the best thing you guys had, But like I said, I mean, you had literally your studio recognize that this was the best stuff you had, and you found the way. But hey, you know what? We don't always get people that to right their mistakes. In this case, we do, because we got Ultimates coming in 2024, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. Do you think it's the timing of that is interesting because it's also at the same time Elseworlds is coming back to DC? I mean, do you think there was like something in the air? Like, was there any? I mean, was there any communication between the two companies saying it's like we're doing this, and maybe one of the others said, hey, if they're bringing back their Elseworlds or their alternate reality stories, maybe we should do the same.
Well, Elseworlds and DC never really technically went away. They just weren't done.
They didn't have the imprint for it.
Yeah, and well, the imprint comes and goes. So whenever you want to do an imprint of Elseworlds, that's when it happens. Because it was never supposed to be a consistent imprint. It was just supposed to be a label put on a story so that you knew that it wasn't part of that universe. Now, with the Ultimates, it was a line. It was literally a parallel universe that that was out there, and they messed up. I think they're bringing the Ultimates back because of a lot. They're stuck in the mud with Marvel and some of their stories, and Ultimates. One of the main reasons why Ultimates was created is because the storylines at the time were literally stagnant. They just weren't going anywhere because they couldn't do the drastic things because it would be seen as like cash grabs and it would never work for long term. What the Ultimates did is it gave you a universe where, like I said, the Hulk could be exactly what the Hulk would really be if a 1,000-pound beast was jumping around, jumping on cars and didn't have any regard for human life. He would kill people directly or indirectly. The government is shady. The government, S.H.I.E.L.D. is more like with our government, we realized, and that made a connection to people who had outgrown those type of storytelling. The same reason why Black Label does well, because you cultivated a customer who outgrew the type of storylines that you have to keep stagnant. You can't go too bloodthirsty in Detective Comics because you still have a different age median that is collecting that. That still has to be suitable. But for grown-ass me who has outgrown that story, I still want Batman, but I want to see him beating the hell out of somebody in a much more brutal way. Yeah, I know he flirts with Catwoman, but in the stuff that I watch, I'm watching HBO, I'm watching Game of Thrones. When two people get together, it happens. It happens in Black Label. It doesn't happen in the regular comic. So I think when it comes to these imprints, they always need to be there. I don't think they should ever go away, is because you have to give your customer space to evolve to, or else he's going to go away. You will literally and eventually outgrow these types of stories. Now, it's important for the company that window is there because a new generation is coming in that Black Label is not suitable for them. You have to get their feet wet in this genre, and that's fine. But at the same time, you got to worry about a guy like me who's not going to, I don't want to read stories, that are that contained. I want to go to the next level because all my other entertainment, I went from watching G movies and PG movies with my family. I'm a grown ass man now. I'm watching,
I'm watching TVMA. I'm watching Rated R now because I've evolved into that. And so the genre needs to evolve with its customer. And I think this is the way to do it. I thought they had recognized that years ago, but they kind of forgot that, not everybody's going to want the mainstay Spider-Man. One of the reasons why that Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, was an immensely popular comic book is because it went places that the standard Spider-Man could not go at the time. And it worked. I mean, and it took risk. They were allowed to take risk. What they did with Galactus, I didn't agree what they did with Galactus in the Ultimate Galactus storyline and the Ultimate Annihilation, all that. I didn't agree with that, but it was a really kick-ass risk that they took that they would have never been able to do traditionally in the comic books. And it gave you a chance to ask the question, what if we did this like this? What if when's the last time you saw a sex tape in a fucking, an issue of Iron Man? You never have, and nor should you. But what if they were that level? What if they were that cutthroat? What if Black Widow would turn on them? Black Widow was given a deal. She turned on them. It allows you, and more so than What If Comics. So What If Comics just took like an extreme. What if this happened? Now, this is an entire atmosphere where just things were different, and I loved it. So, and like I said, it's really easy to do this as a turning point story because it literally changed comics. It changed comics in a way that people who don't read comics know of this. If a layman were to come in here and never purchase a comic, and I had the standard Marvel universe and all that stuff sitting right here, and I had the Ultimates sitting over here, they're gonna recognize the Ultimates as their branch to this whole thing, and that's how we got here with all this. So that's why the Ultimates and not just Ultimate number one. It's Ultimate number one was the one I put on the thing, but the Ultimates in general. The Ultimate in general, and the fact that they're coming back is great. So there you go. We got time. I've covered all the topics.
Yes.
Anything else?
Rebel Moon. I mean, so much that was taken up with my little Twitter back and forth today. Which again, it's like it's one that I scratch my head so much over it. I mean, the idea that anybody could care that much to get angry about. I'm expecting to like Rebel Moon and think it'll probably make my top 10 this year. I just can't fathom like how I'm at a loss clearly. So yeah, I wasn't even mad about how that all went down. I just, it was if anything, it was kind of it was a little bit of an amusing back and forth for me because this is what concerns you. That this one guy that you'll never meet on Twitter said, "I think I'm going." Yeah,
and he's probably you're one of many he's probably screwing with. It's just
yeah. I've seen his timeline. He's definitely going back and forth, and not just on Rebel Moon, but on the whole restore or sell topic and generally anything to do with Zach's body work. Yeah.
I don't recall. I'm answering a question here. I do not recall. Yeah, they didn't do it exactly like the comic, the Ultimate, but they took most of their inspiration from there. Ultimate Fantastic. I mean, it was just a great run, man. Wasn't Ultimate Reed Richards the start of the Marvel Zombies? I don't know. If I recall, and they got another one of those coming out. If I recall, the Marvel Zombies was just an alternate universe. I don't think he create it? Hold on. Okay, during the core Secret Wars miniseries, Black Panther uses the zombies. I remember this now. Oh, this was bad. It uses the zombies as an army to attack the now all-powerful Doctor Doom. Where have I seen that before? And the final stand using the new King of the Dead status and the Siege Perilous, by the way, X-Men story, to take the zombies directly into Doom's castle. Although even this number is merely a distraction, they keep Doom occupied while Reed Richards targets Doom's power source. I don't think that he was responsible for that, but dude, they've retconned Marvel Zombies so many times.
Let's see. Yes, happy anniversary. And they closed early tonight. I went down there and I got some food, but I didn't get my main food. I went down there because it was 1 year anniversary of Sister Kim's Kitchen. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and bring that up because that deserves. Let's see. Is there? One. I made sure I was down there because obviously I was their very first customer. I was the very first person to eat from Sister Kim's Kitchen. I was their very first cut. I was the one that convinced them to go from the food truck that was servicing our drive-ins to taking the risk and opening up a brick and mortar. And I am to this day very, very proud of that decision. I'm glad that they believed in the plaza and my enthusiasm about their food to take that risk. Let's see. Here we go. So yeah, here we go. Sister Kim's Kitchen. They had a DJ there. I thought, okay, this is me. Whenever I see a DJ, I'm like, oh, that's you. People were out here. We're making requests to them. I'm like, hey, congratulations, DJ. There they are. I'm actually standing in front of a whole bunch of people, but I didn't want to stand. I didn't want to cut them off in line. That's them. They actually have 10 kids, and a lot of them are there today. A lot of them work for them, and I'm pretty sure some of these kids are going to have an education because of me, because of the amount of food I buy there. There's the main head, one of the main chefs, David Jones, that with his granddaughter. Granddaughter is cute. And that's pictures. What else did I do today?
Yeah, you're creeping into the damn topic here, Daniel.
Let's see. I'm giving away some more of those. Let's see. I post a lot. There was a 1 year anniversary. They had giveaways. They had free desserts. I was down there eating all those. And I'm like, I can't. But then they closed early. So right before the show is when I usually go get my food because it's right as they're closing, right? And I get down there and they're closed up. They're gone. I guess they must have sold out of food because it was packed today. Which congratulations. I'll eat McDonald's tonight. But Saturdays, I build my Saturdays around my loaded fries. Now I'm going to starve because for what I pay for McDonald's or these other, burgers is nothing compared to what I get when, for the dollar there. So, all right, we'll spend the rest of the night answering questions. I probably regret this, but
okay. There's a couple here.
We'll probably go for about another 10 minutes because, like I said, I designed the show to be short because I'm
where's this one that here's one from Anthony Hatch you want us to highlight. William, the most hilarious thing I remember when the sequel series was released, old school Star Wars fans were accusing him of being woke for getting the fat Star Wars has always been like that.
Yeah, anything with women, by the way. If it has a woman in a prominent whatever, it's woke. I'm like, they're 50% of the population. You're not here without a woman. You realize that, right? Unless there's some asexual way that we're being created and cloned that I don't know about, which is wholly possible. But as far as I know, women are 50% of and they have not been properly represented in film in quite some time. Heaven forbid that, that ever happens. But when a woman is up, oh my goodness, that's woke. MCU. I'm like, dude, literally, where is your club? Where is your little loincloth? And where is the raccoon that's probably outsmarting you because you ain't going to catch it with that frame of mind? This is why the Neanderthals went away. Yeah, it's just, anything, and then when they had the one girl, Rose, I mean, the kind of vitriol she got. And it's like, dude, you guys are showing who you are when you act like this. Next one.
Oh, here's a good one from Chappie. You'll love this. William, do you seriously believe that some people that worked on Howard the Duck are wearing master disguises? Well, assuming they don't have to.
They don't have to. Yeah, because most of them are not working anymore, and it's been so long since that movie's happened. There's been nobody remembers. They're lost in obscurity. There's not a lot of pictures of these people to begin with. So
it's you else we. You'll like this one, Margie. We're oh yeah. We're woke has lost all meaning. It's dumb word used by other people.
Yeah, pretty much. RJ still up? All right, was this
That's
a while back?
here's a good from what should comic creators do to get young kids hooked and reading comics but still keep other readers hooked?
Making heroes that relate to them. I remember back in the 80s, one of actually pretty successful comic that I never had any interest in because it wasn't made for me. Power Pack. Power Pack was a really a famous comic, and it was because something you could give your kids to, and the stories that were presented in there were always stories that a kid could relate to, even if they put it in the Mutant Massacre. The ugly parts of the Mutant Massacre were not in that book. Another thing you could do is another thing that Marvel did a while back is called Star Comics, where they actually made it a brand for kids. It's you had Peter Porker, and you've all seen Peter Porker and across his body, he's there. Peter Porker, they had Captain America, they had things like that basically gave kids in a doorway in, not the exact thing that they were reading. Where they weren't reading Captain America yet, but they were getting affiliated with the guy with the white A on his hat and a shield. And by the time that they were ready to make that next step, they had already been branded as far as that goes. So there's two ways you can do it. You can make depending on which age group we're talking about. So if we're talking about like single digit people, you make comics with complex, not complex, with basic solving problems that they can understand, and that's all. You don't give them the brutality, you don't give them the skin tight whatever, because that's not where they're at right now. They'll get all that as they grow into that age, but you give them the lighthearted stuff with the basic problem solving, because that never changes throughout comics. Problem solving on some level is happening through comics for decades now. But if they're 8-9 years old and you don't want you want to get them into comics, but you don't want to have them corrupted, or you don't want to corrupt the actual mainland comic, you give them a set of comics where it's basically stripped down to basic problem solving and getting them used to the superhero genre and getting them used to the morals of the superheroes they're going to read. As they grow up, then they'll start hungering for something else, and then if you're a parent and you decide that that's the next step, then that's where you do it. Now, back when I was a kid, it didn't matter because we didn't it was a different society, and the families didn't filter. You just were told that this is what you read, this is not what you do. So we could read the violence and we can read the stuff, and that got us in. But as the problem with comics right now is, as it's gotten segmented with the generations being a little bit more afraid of what their kids are reading and watching, all that, there isn't a lot out there for young kids like that to read. Even anime, a lot of the anime is pretty violent. Is not necessarily appropriate for certain kids. There is some that's out there, but if you're a parent, a mainstream parent living here in America, you want to hand something down to your kids that's a little bit more familiar to you. My dad handed comics down to me, and vice versa. But yeah, give them something that just strips the story down to basic problem solving, some superhuman powers, and then let them graduate from there. So that's what I would do.
Here's one from me, Anthony. Well, let's say hypothetically decide to do a grounded version of JL in his Batman universe, but no, I don't see even a grounded version. I can't imagine him ever doing that.
I wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah.
JL is not. There's a reason why you have a Batman comic book and you have a JL comic book, so that you can tell those stories. You can tell Batman stories that are meant to be that way in his environment. But when you're in a collective environment, I don't want a ground that defeats the purpose of the Justice League. That's my opinion. Sorry.
William and Brad, what about the MC? Yeah, I've seen that term.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Can I get
it's insulting that there's comic book collectors, people who follow the same genre as I do. That's their approach on the world. So.
Yeah. Watchmen was for kids and adults. Yeah.
Excuse me?
I don't know about that, man.
Watchmen wasn't even for me as a kid, and I was a kid when it came out. Watchmen is not. I mean, okay. It all depends on the kid too, dude. I mean, Because, like I said, Friday the 13th wasn't made for kids, but I was there. The old man was there with me. Halloween, 1978, 1981,
Yeah, but
Halloween
it
2 was
made
not
for
made for
kids.
kids.
I mean, there's
you
a
know.
reason why in the movie Dr. Manhattan blows so many people up. You know?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Okay, Mighty Act, if you're trolling, then type of happy
trolling.
face somewhere. But Watchmen has a guy walking around with his junk out. So I'm going to go ahead and say that no.
One else has a complete psychopath as its main character in the form of Rorschach.
Yeah, who kills child molesters and beats people up in prison, and you have not a graphic sex scene, but you see them there, and you're talking about things about mass destruction and rape, and I don't think Watchmen were. But once again, Mighty Rex depends on what kind of kids we're talking about. I don't think anything Alan Moore ever did was for kids.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, next one.
One kind of going off of that. What about the subtext of the kid reading the Black Freighter?
Even still, it's in the context of a much more adult story. If you entered into the Black Freighter, you're entering into the world of Watchmen, which is not, I don't think, is even remotely close intended for kids. Now, whether kids can absorb it, that's different, because it wasn't made for my age group, but I was able to comprehend it, absorb it. But I was not the target audience for it. No. All right, next one.
Dorton says RoboCop was for kids. Yeah, that's true. When we watch it growing up, that is also, they had toys for it. There was, and RoboCop.
Oh, Rambo. Rambo had a cartoon and toys. Rambo does some
Terminator. Yeah, Terminator, Aliens, like 80s, 90s kids. Had a lot of toy lines thrown at them for movies they shouldn't have been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you have Rambo. Rambo cuts people's throats open, and he's got a cartoon at 4 p.m. With Super Ninja and Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris breaks people's necks on TV, and yeah, he's cool. But it all depends on the kids too. In the 80s, though, we weren't as, even though it wasn't meant for us, we weren't really sheltered from it. It was the other generation. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I first saw my intro to RoboCop as a kid when I was like 6 or 7 was RoboCop 3, which is a horrible movie, but it's PG-13.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And then I didn't see the original 2 until I was about 14. So, and I'd seen some of a couple episodes of the TV show too. So my child mind had a certain idea of what RoboCop was based on the watered down version of him that was presented. And then I said, no, let's go back to where it really all began. It's like, no, RoboCop. No, this is it's not child friendly material at all.
Ed 209 puts so many rounds into a person, it literally rips them apart. So there you go.
Yeah, the Ed 209 by itself, it's like they got their R rating just because they had to dial it back because it was so over the top. It was so bloody, which kind of was kind of the point. The whole idea was to push the violence to such crazy levels that it became almost it was like Tom and Jerry. Is that's what makes the whole point of the Ed 209 scene was the guy gets like 200 rounds just emptied into him, and then people are, the whole boardroom is just looking at him shocked, and the one guy says, "Hey, somebody want to call a paramedic?" It's supposed to be a big, it's a big joke because there's the guy there's no way he survived that.
Yeah, he's dead. It's
back to violence that on it, so it's like it's not quite as funny in the somewhat in the official R-rated version. So the unrated version, it's actually you get the full effect of just the insane violence of that moment.
All right, I'm looking something up because somebody's referring back to the Ultimate. All right, in the Think Tank team, the team meet Rona Birchall, reimagined mad thinker, who captures them and attempts to sell them to the highest bidder. The Ultimate Fantastic Four annual #1, they meet Crystal of the Inhumans, and as a result of trespassing on their home to destroy it, forcing Inhumans to move to a new one, Crossover has them encountering zombie-infected versions of themselves and every other hero in the world. With the help of that world's Magneto, Fantastic Four managed to escape with few survivors. But I think Marvel Zombies was already out by then. Yeah, I think that was already done. Real quick, how would compare shield to the CIA to do some shady shit. Yet Nick Fury is portrayed as a hero because even though someone does shady shit, doesn't mean they're not a hero. The things that the CIA do is not some. It's not for, not for public consumption. You don't always need to know how the sausage is made, but you want to be protected. I always tell people if they can't handle how government agencies or what governments have to do to keep people safe sometimes, stay out of the kitchen. Everybody wants the finished meal to look great and the parsley to be there and the garnish to be there and everything to be cooked perfectly, but they don't want to be out there when the farmer's killing whatever has to be on that plate for the most part. They don't want to be out there when something's being gutted and flayed and all that. They don't want to see that part. They want to see just how it looks on the card. But in order to do certain things and to be an intelligence agency and a proactive intelligence agency in any era, post World War II, you did some things that you probably weren't proud of, so that the other guy didn't have to. But those are things that have to be done. They look shady because we base those things on morals that we see every day, but we're not out there in the field. We're not looking at what's headed towards us. We're not faced with the decisions. So, that's why, and we're not privy to the information. And a lot of times when people don't know things, they fill in the gaps with bullshit. The government's not giving us all the information about JFK assassination, so it had to be a lone gunman. The government's not giving us all the information about UFOs, so they got that means that there's UFOs walking amongst us working with the government. We build these conspiracy theories because we don't have information that, quite frankly, the average person doesn't need. And it's the same case with the CIA. There's so much that we don't know that's not public facing about in any intelligence agency that it allows for the imagination to go wild. And yeah, there is some shady stuff that has to be done, but it has to be done. We don't live in a pretty world. And if you're going to maintain some level of safety, you're going to have to do some things that might not get you on the cover of of Hallmark magazine. So there you go.
There is no way you're not trolling here, Mike Rex.
All right, so we're about to go ahead and wrap this up. I got 5 minutes left in me.
Okay, and see if there's any other last ones I want to highlight real quick. Here's one from Chappie. William Brad, remember the controversy, Master of the Universe, Revelation, how people were calling the show because of its healing? Yeah, I think I kind of remember that.
Yeah, and I laughed at them too. Every time you bring up woke, I'm just going to laugh at you. William, what are your thoughts on the Peter Capaldi era of Doctor Who? Getting ready to rewatch it soon. Haven't touched it in years, so probably feel I loved it. I really loved it. It was very short, obviously, but I loved the Zygon part was my favorite storyline of his. But I really loved it. Not my favorite Doctor Who, obviously Matt Smith is. I would put him, in the middle of Doctors as far as all the ones that I've seen come up. But I did enjoy his episodes. Just looking at some. Yeah, they sold toys, but that doesn't mean that the movies were necessarily the toys were targeted, because you know what? Just because you were bought a toy in the movie doesn't mean you were watching the movie. I've seen plenty of parents that bought, those toys and they would never let their kids watch the movies. Their kids saw, oh, that looks cool. Ooh, and can I get one of those? Yeah, and it's you remember, but we're not going to take you home to watch the alien burst out of this person's chest. Or watch that alien use its internal mouth to basically put brain matter all over the screen. But we're not going to. Well, you can have the toy, but you're not going to see what that necessarily see what that toy means. So
I had Alien and Predator action figures, years before I saw either one. I saw either one cinematically. Yeah.
That has nothing to do. They're going to laugh at anything. That has very little to do with DC's numbers. DC's numbers dwindled because they weren't ready for that next phase. It has nothing to do with anti-woke people laugh at their own reflection. To be honest with you.
I think this is going to be a hard no from William.
No. In fact, I would do everything in my power and whatever little power I had to stop it from being made. I'd chain myself to the doors of the office and be like, you can't do this. You can't do this. You cannot do this. And like I said, while you're at it, you guys got away with neutering Batman and making it soft and cuddly for an audience that should never have been exposed to Batman to make it, so they could swallow that pill instead of giving them Batman the way Batman was supposed to be. But you are not. I refuse. I will chain myself to your office every day until I get arrested and take it away. Do not Batman the animated series, The Watchmen. One abomination is enough. No, he's not. And you can't paraphrase Bob. All right? Yeah. Oh, we're losing money because we're woke. Come on, that doesn't even sound. You have to be laughing while you're typing this forth.
And just last one of the night here. Yeah. William, is there a way to do a graph? No, I don't think there is. That's you're taking the concept of the JL, fundamentally out of the equation if you do that. So now I don't see it happening.
Yeah, pass. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but pass. I ain't gonna be there for it.
And I don't think Matt Reeves would want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of keeping them out of that universe. Would be all right. Where are we at on our fundraiser? Have you guys failed me? Oh my god! Like I said, most of you guys have already donated. So, like I said, we're gonna take our show on the road here. In the next we got 13 days. How many days we got till the 22nd?
We got about 12 days.
Until 12 days to make up 2,500, which we basically did in like 7. So yeah. I think like I said, we'll be fine.
Said they're gonna donate and share and get that, so we should be seeing an influx of stuff pretty soon here.
Yeah, and you guys will see me on some shows over here over the next couple of days. Some places that you've never seen me before too, but I'll be there because I believe in the cause, and because I believe in the cause, we are going to wrap up the night with our usual way: 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, 24/7 call, text, chat. I can't. I don't know. I try to come up with creative ways to push to this point on a nightly basis, but just. It's gotten to the point now where I know there's people out here that are watching this, that will watch this, that have been touched by this issue, that have lost somebody or know someone has lost somebody or have themselves contemplated it. So you know the threat is out there. So let's you wouldn't go out into a winter storm without a jacket. Most of you would not drive a vehicle without the seatbelt on. There are certain things you do to protect yourself and prolong your well-being. Let's not go into the world without the proper tools to get us through the day. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, 24 seconds. I'm thinking basketball. 24/7 call, text, or chat. And in the meantime, if you can, donate. If you can't, share. Either one helps. So, all right, let's. Oh, jeez. Why? Hold on. Let me.
Fourth, something good.
Someone is. I think you know what he's bringing up. First of all, that's not him saying the whole woke issue. And second of all, is you can't entertain without messaging. It's fourth, you got to understand, just like David Zassoff stood up here and told the theater organizations that everything was going to be okay, and those fools believed him. He basically said, Disney chief executive Bob Iger said Wednesday, we will no longer tolerate his partners and creative team prioritize. I don't even know where this is fucking from, but I'll just read it anyway. Prioritize mission over storytelling. Creators lost sight of their number one objective needed to be, Iger said, the Dealbook Summit. We have to entertain first. You cannot entertain without messaging. There's never been a comic book IP that did. There are always a message there. And what messages are you see these people, these fucking cavemen, they point out woke, but they can never point out what they're fucking talking about. And I'm not calling you a caveman for it, but I'm talking about the generalization of it. Most of these assholes think having a woman in a position is a message. So are we going to tell stories without women? I mean, come on. This is fluff talk. I'm telling you, because you're my audience right now, you're in my summit, or whatever the fuck this was, the Deal Book Summit. I'm telling you what you want to hear because I want to get out of here without you asking me a bunch of tough questions. I want to send you away making you feel good. But I'm basically full of shit. Yeah. But like I said, you got to, what's the message? What's the message you're talking about? You know, and whether, like I said, what he said, you're quoting something that you and I both know is bullshit. He's not going to stop. Like I said, are you just going to not? You're not going to put women in the movies and the shows? So it's going to be Mr. Marvel from now on? I mean, come on. So what? Okay, so you just asked the question I'm going to ask you. What's woker now than what they've been doing since the MCU has been formed than anything else that they've done? See, we throw this fucking term around, like I said, like reboot. It's one of those terms that it's easy, it rolls off the tongue, and I heard some other dumbass say it, so I want to be in with that dumbass. So everybody is woke. I mean, because that's my message thing. The message is any of the intersectional ideological belief. That's fucking Marvel. That's what it's always been. So you want them to stop being what they've always been because of a certain segment of the society. And Iger's on his way out. 80-year-old Bob Iger is not representative of the opinions that are going to be running the world or corporations the next 20, 30 years. So what does that matter? She-Hulk had nothing to do with messages. It just wasn't funny. So you're talking about two different things. Something being not good and something being messaging. That's two different things. She-Hulk sucks because it was supposed to be a comedy and it wasn't funny. If you missed the mark at being entertaining, that doesn't have anything to do with a message. That's just, you just missed the mark. It just wasn't good. Some of the stuff just hasn't been good. It has nothing to do with messaging. Ant-Man and Wasp didn't have messaging. Ant-Man and Quantumania didn't have messaging, and it was not good. I mean, did Captain Marvel have a message? No. The Marvels didn't fail because of messaging. Probably not because it was a bad movie with characters that nobody cared about. It doesn't matter what your message is. They ate up the message for the last 14 years as long as they had A-listers on the screen giving it to them. So yeah, that's some. I think we're beyond the age where 80-year-old dudes are going to tell us that, are going to be reflective of things going forward. He's on his way out. Bob Iger was already out, but because his protege fucked everything up, he had to come back. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, is Echo a message? I mean, come on. What message are we talking about? Okay, but that's not. I agree with that, but that's not a message. So that's just bad comedy. That's just a bad show. It has nothing to do with messaging. I mean, the message. What has changed with their messaging since they started? That's not consistent with everything else they do. I think there's been more women. I think some of the cavemen have a problem with that, but Captain Marvel was about catcalling and feminist girl. What are you talking? You're fucking with me now. I fell for the trap. I was on my way out of the show, trying to wrap the show early. Fourth 1000, laid a trap, and I couldn't see through the bullshit to see the trap. Now I see the trap. Congratulations, everybody clap. I should have known this is bullshit. All right. Well, on that note, we're really going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Before he trolls us anymore. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow night. I don't know. I don't know how late it'll be because I got a Christmas party to go to. Wolf 1000. Don't give him any ideas. I'm still trying to figure out how much longer we have of Toothy Galore. So,
He'll probably come back with that next time.
oh my goodness. All right. Well, for Brad, myself, where can they find you, Brad?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Vero. Someone on Facebook. Of course, you can find me writing on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant. Of course, you can find me here on the Sci-Fi Center. And
unless he's getting kicked off of YouTube.
yeah. I'll try to be more careful about that in future streams. But you'll definitely see me a lot around here, of course, as we prepare for our big Rebel Moon event coming up on the 22nd. Yeah, if you guys haven't. If you can, please consider donating. If not, please just share the link and just get the word out to people, as we head to the event on the 22nd.
Yeah, and like I said, you're going to see me in all kinds of strange places that you've never seen me before online. Most of it because it's all to push the word out there. It's all to put the link out there to people who can use it. It's all to get everybody. Maybe there's that one person that has 2,000-3,000 followers, and that person could be a person. If 10, 20 people drop in 25, that helps. I mean, every bit helps. It's all for a good cause. I mean, everything goes directly from this site to them. There's no middleman here. When you donate to this, you are donating literally to the branch of them that goes directly to them. And why the hell would you ask me this? Why would you want to see me on Pornhub? What is wrong with you people? Why are you even thinking about this, Joga? And I'm not making fun of the preference or anything else, but regardless to with your preference, do you really want to see me in porn? That would hurt my eyes.
I think fourth has gotten to them at this point.
Fourth is infected the chat.
Fourth, what are you doing, man?
Part of a woman being. I mean, women are allowed to be in good adventures. I mean, damn. Oh, okay, I knew this was
gonna happen. Come on.
All right, that's it. We're out of here. All right, guys. You guys have a nice Sunday or rest of your Sunday. Enjoy some football, enjoy some barbecue. And like I said, I will see you sometime later on in the day.